And streaming online and in the Odyssey app at The Fan Rochester. The sports leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950. The Fan Rochester.
Always live on the free Odyssey app.
The Sports Bar with Danger and Battaglia.
This is a good football team, undefeated under Mason Rudolph and well coached.
The Steelers can upset the Bills without TJ Watt.
Can they? Yes. Will they? Probably not anymore.
It's the playoffs, and it's a Pittsburgh team with no pressure, house money, Mason Rudolph. Tomlin is going to eat up this double-digit underdog that they are, and they're going to play tough.
Nobody should be looked past this game. Like, this is still a Pittsburgh team that they're not great, but they don't make a lot of mistakes, and they make you beat them. So the Bills are going to have to do that.
You know, it's win or go home.
Mike Danger.
We can talk about what happens after Sunday. The team won't do it, but let's just allow ourselves for a moment to imagine the Bills winning.
Gene Battaglia.
It's not something you can automatically pencil in. And the Bills are the team in the NFL that can beat anybody. And they could also lose to anybody. You got to put in a good week of work during practice.
Kraken score! Coming down that far side of the ice. The Deers.
As Seattle wins it 5-2.
And we made mistakes. I'll be pressed.
95.7 FM and AM 950. The Fan Rochester.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome on in. Pull up a stool and join us. The Sports Bar with Danger and Battaglia. I'm so glad you've made us a part of your afternoon at 95.7 FM, AM 950. Maybe you're listening through your phone and the free-to-download Odyssey app. You know, connect it through Bluetooth in your car or on your smart device when you ask it to play 95.7 The Fan. We've also got our video stream up at The Fan Rochester. That's our YouTube channel, at The Fan Rochester on Twitch as well. And I'm bringing it up because, you know, with the video stream comes some added production in the Sports Bar. We've got cameras, we've got proper lighting. Walked into the Sports Bar this afternoon to see Gene playing with the remote control that usually activates our overhead lighting. And when you do it, oh, there it is. Club Sports Bar. It's like a strobe light, a flashing light. It's one of those big, like, studio quality, photo studio quality lights, but it's got all of the different settings on it, and for some reason, we've just got a flashing studio light.
I hit the wrong button that says flicker. No, I can't turn it off.
The Sports Bar video stream today should come with a disclaimer for anybody that might suffer. You know how now there's like warnings before videos if it might trigger an epileptic seizure.
Yeah,
that's what we're working with today. Let's just kill that. Oh wait, are you figuring it out?
Maybe.
Nope, that's not it. It's not flashing anymore, but it's oh no. Well,
how did you get it to stop last time? I did this before. At true Dr. Rick moment, I can't figure this out. Do you want to figure this out?
Hand it over.
Fantastic radio. Yeah, I thought you were giving me an excuse to hit the breaking news button here.
Well, we do have some breaking news to get to, but let's focus on what's important. Let's be honest. Yeah, I'm not going to figure this out. No chance I'm figuring this out live on the radio. We're gonna do this. We're gonna turn it off. All right, there we go. And then during our break, we'll try to get that sorted.
Pizza Dude is actually in Scranton today.
Yeah, so, no Pizza Dude. We're going to have to power through with just regular standard overhead fluorescent lighting. God, who wants to do that? Can I get a ring light or something in here, Gino? Isn't that? Never mind. Yeah, we do have a bit of breaking news this afternoon.
Ow! It really hit me. I didn't know it was coming back that far.
This is from like the last, last 60 minutes that this broke?
Yeah, a coach that has been there since 2010. You know, I'm not talking about Bill Belichick. He's been there longer. Pete Carroll now will be an advisor in Seattle. He steps down as the head coach of the Seattle Seahawks. Danger, do you know, prior to Pete Carroll, who was the head coach of the Seattle Seahawks?
Jim Zorn?
Got the first name right.
Jim
Zorn was in Washington, even though he was a Seattle quarterback.
Was he? But wasn't he not the coach there? Was he offensive coordinator there? What was he there?
He was the quarterback from way back when.
I remember being the quarterback back then.
Yeah, he was never the head coach. I don't know if he was ever
Jim.
You know his old man better than the son.
Why is this hurting my brain? It hurts my brain.
Jim Mora Jr.
Oh, Jim Mora Jr.
Oh, my God, yeah.
That's right. Jim Mora Jr. You're right. I do know his dad, Mora.
Playoffs?
Right.
Don't talk about it. Playoffs? You kidding me? Playoffs? I just hope we can win a game.
Where did Jim Mora Jr. go? He just kind of felt like is he coaching in the USFL or something?
Yeah, he was doing like some media stuff, but coaches get out of it. It's kind of hard to get back in once you realize, hey, there's a whole other world out here that I don't have to stress out and live all this. Pete Carroll was the one guy that I think didn't act his age. 72, always full of energy.
He's not Pete Carroll. Hologram.
Pete Carroll.
It's not Pete Carroll. Listen, man, no 72-year-old does what Pete Carroll does. Nobody moves like that. That's a hologram of Pete Carroll. That's the AI version of Pete Carroll. The last time we saw Pete Carroll, Malcolm Butler was picking off Russell Wilson. That was when Pete Carroll died. And then now, since that point on, it's been the hologram of Pete Carroll. It's 72. If I can get around like he does at 72, I'll feel pretty good about myself.
I think Pete Carroll stuck around a little bit more just to show everybody, hey, I was right about this Russell Wilson thing. He would have left a few years ago, but you know what? I need to kind of show that I'm
I think he's leaving now because he hasn't found a suitable replacement for Russell Wilson and is going to be up against it here. Whoever is the next head coach in Seattle, and immediately the dots get connected. Oh, Dan Quinn can go back to the team that he was a defensive coordinator for. His dream job. He could be the head coach in Seattle. He has a relationship with Pete Carroll. That makes a lot of sense.
Right.
But things that make a lot of sense don't always come to fruition in the NFL. And you're taking that job knowing you don't really know what your quarterback situation is going to be. Are you really satisfied with Geno Smith? Drew Lock ain't it. What are you doing at quarterback if you're Seattle moving forward long term? Because you haven't replaced Russell Wilson, really.
Believe it or not, that's number 2 on the list. If I'm a head coach, I'm concerned like you are really not guaranteed anything beyond 2025, meaning it's a weird situation where the team is in trust and it has to do with kind of not tax evasion, but just kind of getting around the taxes here where now it's going to be put up for sale in 2 years. So Jody Allen is kind of a lame duck owner there in Seattle. She loves herself some Pete Carroll, and maybe this is Pete Carroll trying to give the next head coach a little bit of runway. But generally speaking, Danger, like you're a new owner, and if it's not going well, guess what? I'm going to put my own people in. As evident in Washington. That was really no surprise that something happened there. As evident in Carolina. So whoever takes the next Seattle job, you got to win right away or else you'll be gone in 2 years.
7 head coaching vacancies right now in the NFL.
Wow.
Yeah.
We're going to get to 8? What's going on in New England?
Right. 7. So 2 Super Bowls for Pete Carroll. Got one of them under his belt, got a ring. And he has been relieved of his head coaching duties in Seattle. He'll remain an advisor. There you go. Some breaking news here from the last 60 minutes or so in the sports bar. As we get going, love that you're with us. Appreciate your calls at 866-4FAN, 585-866-4326. That's the Good Smoke Barbecue and Pub Wingman line. Award-winning barbecue from Good Smoke Barbecue and Pub in the new location at 135 West Commercial Street in East Rochester. GoodSmokeBBQ.com. We'll talk plenty of Bills and Steelers this afternoon and focus on the Buffalo Bills with Sal Capaccio, who will join us with his practice report today here coming up right around 4 o'clock.
Yeah, so we're going to go double Buffalo Bills. To Sal, who was down in Miami, who, wow, we should dig up that piece of audio too, Danger, when during the Bills broadcast. You normally don't hear the head coach coming over, but after that and after winning the AFC East, it was an emotional Sean McDermott with Sal Capaccio in front of all those Bills fans. So we'll talk to Sal coming up here right at 4, maybe 4:05, somewhere in that neighborhood. We'll also talk to Alex Brasky, Batavia Daily News and Bills Digest, 3:25 as the Bills wrapping a practice this afternoon. Gabe Davis, a DNP, also not practicing. Rasul Douglas, Leonard Floyd, Von Miller given a Veterans Day arrest, Taylor Rapp, a DNP. We should mention that Leonard Floyd was also a Veteran Day arrest. Deion Dawkins, remember he had the stitches. He was limited today, as was Tyrell Dodson, which that's good news as well. Listed on the injury report was Josh Allen, but that was he was a full participant today.
There was another, speaking of head coaching news, there was another interesting story from earlier that a name that we're all familiar with, interviewing for an opening with the Chargers, and that's Leslie Frazier. Leslie Frazier interviewing for the Chargers head coaching opening. The Chargers also interviewing their internal candidates there in Giff Smith and Kellen Moore. But Leslie Frazier getting a look-see for a head coaching opportunity. More so, I mean, for all those years he was DC in Buffalo, how many interviews did he actually go on? 2?
I want to say Houston, and I couldn't tell you the other
right,
one.
Maybe 1, 2 at the most. I can't remember.
I thought Chicago would have brought him in, or Minnesota. Or no, they didn't. And Leslie Frazier is a respected man in the NFL. He stayed close this year, did a little commentary on NFL Network, and he's free and clear. His contract is up with the Buffalo Bills, so I don't know if the Bills are still paying him all along with whatever happened. Probably. Maybe he ends up with the Giants, although that situation.
The Giants story is a juicy one.
Weird.
That's a juicy story. Yeah. Let's pivot quickly to the Giants where, man, Wink Martindale, just the powder keg. When you brought him in to be your defensive coordinator, I don't think Brian Daboll knew what he was getting into because Wink Martindale is one of those kind of like old school, fiery guys. Was the Baltimore DC all those years with Harbaugh. That Baltimore defense was always mean, and you wanted to bring some of that to the Giants. Well, part of bringing in Martindale is bringing in his guys, and Daboll wanted to move on from some of Martindale's guys.
Did move on.
And when Martindale found out about that, he lost it. He reportedly cursed out Daboll, stormed out of the facility, and today comes the official word that they have decided to mutually part ways, a mutual parting of ways, a conscious uncoupling of Brian Daboll and Wink Martindale.
Which I don't know if that means that Martindale now gets paid by the Giants, but Martindale told some of his media goombas, hey, I resign, but he actually never resigned to the Giants. It was news to them. Like when we're learning this on Monday, like, wait a second, Wink Martindale resigned? I didn't know any of this.
Yeah.
And well, the Giants didn't know it at the time either.
You think if you normally, like a normal person, if you resign, you have a plan in place. You know how you're going to break that news. You know how you're going. But when you're talking about a guy like Martindale or any guy that's got like a short temper, a hot-headed guy, it's not about. There's no strategy. There's no planning. It's like, I'm done. I'm out. Bye. And you don't even really say bye. You just storm out like you did, like you reportedly did. You just storm out and you fly to Florida, which is what Martindale reportedly did. Okay, well, season's over. I'm flying to my home in Florida. We'll see if there's a future for Wink Martindale as a defensive coordinator somewhere. And there are plenty of teams that are going to be looking for DCs as well as those 7 head coaching vacancies that we talked about earlier. The Bears moved on from their offensive coordinator, Luke Getsy, but they also, with that announcement, made it clear that Matt Eberflus is keeping his job for the 24 season. Right.
Okay.
The Jets, your move. Robert Saleh, Matt Eberflus, like dumb teams keeping bad head coaches. During a time when you could argue, one of the best free agent coaching classes that we've had in a long time.
Would you take Mike Vrabel in Chicago?
Yes.
Yeah, I would.
No
too,
hesitation.
Yeah.
Yes. Give me another one.
Ben Johnson.
Yes.
You would, yeah.
Go ahead and say another one.
Leslie Frazier.
Yes. I would take any of them. But it's going to be Eberflus, at least, for another season.
Which kind of leads me to believe it's going to be Justin Fields for another season, too.
Well, yes, you are going to bring in a new OC, which I'm fine with because Luke Getsy, was saying all season long, fire this guy into the sun. They have. But I don't know what that does for Justin Fields' development. Whoever you're bringing in needs to make an immediate and quick connection with Justin Fields if you're going to keep him, because the changing of the offensive coordinator and the lack of continuity is not going to serve a guy like Justin Fields well. He needs some stability. So there you go. Just some headlines, some news and notes from not just Bill's practice today, that injury report, but also some coaching carousel headlines to share with you here.
Yeah, I'm glad we have Sal coming up at 4:05-ish because, well, we could talk about the Bills' injuries. We could talk about practice. We could talk about Mason Rudolph if you want. The one variable in this game has me the most concerned is actually the weather here, Danger, where it's not going to be freezing as it is going to be in Kansas City Saturday night. If you have Peacock, that'll be fun to watch those images, but impossible to predict, but it could set up a band here. I don't know if we're talking about the Colts game or not, but if you have a squall event in Orchard Park on Sunday, well, I'd say, number one, bet the under, and number two, well, that would make it a little enticing also to take the Steelers and the points on this.
I'm for it. Let's go. Like what we had against Cincinnati last year wasn't really like, it was snowy. It was kind of typical. No, I want chaos.
This sounds like it could be chaos.
Not chaos to the point where somebody could potentially get hurt, but just like enough chaos where it's like, oh no, we're equipped for this. We can handle this. We can handle this. Can everybody else handle this? Can the Steelers handle this? I think we can handle it.
Well, Sean McDermott's setting the tone today, talking about he knows his team needs to play physical in this game.
Very physical, very, very physical. As physical as we've seen all season.
Since week 9, they've run the ball more than any team in the league. Sunday could be one of those days in Orchard Park. So their running game, what do you have to do to kind of keep that under control?
Well, it starts with the mindset. It starts with the mindset. So you got to have that. That's really where it starts. So it's a physical game. They're a physical team. Look, if we want to have a chance, we got to play physical. There's no negotiating around that or finding a way around it. That's the style of football you have to play, in particular this time of year and against this football team.
And Sean McDermott also mentioning the weather being a factor come Sunday.
A little bit of both, I would say, for sure. With the mindset, yes. And then also the preparation that goes into it. We've been through a lot of games here where we've had to, no pun intended, weather the storm that way, right? So it affects a lot of things. It affects how you play the game, how you manage the game. So it's when we have that here, it's an added dimension to our preparation.
If the Bills are going to get to where they want to go, and I would point to the Patriots all those years, they would win games in different styles. That's what championship teams do.
Yeah.
If we're going to put up 40 one week, or we're going to win this low-scoring physical battle, and this is the most encouraging sign for this Bills team because they have the capabilities. We've seen them. We saw it against Miami the first time around. And what was so exciting here to me, like if I had to pick one game in this 5-game winning streak, it was actually the Dallas game. I didn't think the Bills had it in them. And that's a team that's a number 2 seed. And they pushed them all around. So, yeah, you know what? Pittsburgh's going to come in, and that's really their one and only card in this game, Danger. That, hey, we're going to, get our tackles, put pressure on Josh Allen. On the other side, we're going to use Harris and our other guy, Warren, and make sure that we're churning out first downs. Well, okay, the Bills can play that game too.
It's Wednesday. I've got 30 seconds. Sean McDermott on the Pittsburgh Steelers. Typically on a Wednesday, we play a round of McDermott McLies.
Yeah, if you're new to the show here, and McDermott isn't the only one who does this, but generally speaking, he's going to blow smoke about the opponents. Really what caught our attention, this was a game against the Houston Texans where former Buffalo Bill Andre Roberts, the punt returner, and Sean McDermott called him a future Hall of Famer.
Yeah, what? Because Andre Roberts played a season in Buffalo with Sean McDermott. And the following season against Houston, when he left for Houston, this was Sean McDermott.
Yeah, he's one of the best. I wouldn't be surprised if he's in the Hall of Fame one day for what he's done as a returner. He's as quality of an individual and a man as I've been around. Really appreciate the way he helped lead this football team and helped us build the culture that we have. And so I have a tremendous amount of respect for him. And it'll be a big challenge for us on special teams. He does a great job, and so we'll have our work cut out for us there.
Houston scored 0 points that day. By the way, if he's going to be in the Hall of Fame someday, why did you let him walk out the door?
Right. That's 30. That was 30 seconds of Sean McDermott feeling guilty about having to let Andre Roberts go to another team. He would have loved to have kept him, but hey, ultimately what he should have said, or what the truth would have been is, yeah, he's a kick returner, he's expendable, we would love to have him, he's really good, but we can't afford him, or he's expendable.
Yeah.
We'll be fine without him. That's the truth. The truth of the situation is that. You can't say that if you're Sean McDermott, so you go over the top and say, yeah, he's probably a future Hall of Famer. What a great man. Really appreciate everything he did to help build everything. Come on. So it was with that in mind, that was where McDermott McLies was kind of born. Future Hall of Famer, kick returner Andre Roberts,
who most of us have forgotten about by now. I would say, okay, so this is the Steelers, 30 seconds. I'm going to say that there's going to be a lie at maybe 3.5, 4 seconds per clip. I'm going to go 8 lies here, Danger.
Keep track at home.
They're playing good football. Again, I've said this before. You don't look at records. I mean, people could look at our record and say the same thing, right? Just in terms of, hey, well, they snuck into the playoffs, whatever. This is a good football team, undefeated under Mason Rudolph, and well coached, playing good on both sides of the ball and special teams. So I think when you watch the last 3 games in particular, they're playing high quality football.
4. It's McDermott stalling a little bit.
Undefeated under Mason Rudolph got the ding, even though it technically this season, yes, but look, it's Mason Rudolph. We've seen Mason Rudolph in the past. He's lost games in the NFL. What are we talking about here?
If he's so good, and this is hilarious to me, you want to know what the Steelers' offense is broken? Well, Mason Rudolph is the starter, but he's not on the depth chart as the number 1. It's still Kenny Pickett.
Right.
And the chatter in Pittsburgh is they don't want to hurt Kenny Pickett's confidence.
Oh, you really?
I'm not kidding you.
Well, then get him out there to play.
Right.
Let's go, you cowards. Start your starter. Mason Rudolph is going to get this. Kenny Pickett, you can't lose your job to injury. Oh, wait, maybe you can. Maybe you can. Yeah, you're not going to hurt his confidence. His confidence is shattered, man. And that's one of those situations where the offense looked really bad. You fired the offensive coordinator. And the offense still looks really bad. Maybe it's not the play calling. Maybe it's not the OC. Maybe it is truly Kenny Pickett is a bust. Mason Rudolph's been there a long time. And I'm not going to take him lightly, but I'll say what I said earlier in the week. You can't lose to Mason Rudolph in the postseason at home. You can't if you're the Buffalo Bills. Cannot happen. Cannot happen.
That would be 10 times worse than losing to the Bengals last year.
Oh my God!
Joe Burrow. That was a team that went to the Super Bowl the year before. Yeah.
Oh my God! It'd be terrible, terrible. It'd be as bad as losing at home. Like if they lost Week 17 to the Patriots at home with Bailey Zappi. It's terrible. You can't do that.
This is a team that actually lost to Bailey Zappi, Danger.
Yes. Correct. We'll talk more Bills and Steelers next. Our buddy Alex Brasky from the Batavia Daily News and Bills Digest on the way.
You're listening to the Sports. Fan Rochester Sports Update.
Bills practice today. Gabe Davis and Rasul Douglas not practicing. Head coach Sean McDermott talking about his team being tough.
Very confident. Yeah, but that's why we're going out to practice today as well, to continue to work on those key fundamentals that we're going to need to execute come Sunday.
Bills and Steelers coming up on Sunday. Our pregame coverage Sunday will begin at 9 a.m. We'll talk some Buffalo Bills football coming up next. Alex Brasky, Batavia Daily News and the Bill Digest joining us. Syracuse basketball in action tonight. It's the first home game of the calendar year as Boston College comes to the Dome. Yuri Kulik and Isak Rosane both named to the AHL All-Star team. They're the Amerks representatives. The Amerks in Charlotte Friday night. The outdoor game coming up on Saturday. Sabres back in action tomorrow night against Ottawa. Last night falling to Seattle. Gene Battaglia on the Sports Leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950. The Fan, Rochester.
Neat or on the rocks? It's the Sports Bar with Danger and Battaglia on the Sports Leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950. The Fan, Rochester.
FLPA released its all-pro team, voted on by the players. No Bills players made the list. What's your reaction to that?
Go Bills.
Well, if only we could get on the guy who asked that question, Josh Allen.
Oh,
earlier.
we can.
Oh, it's our buddy Alex Brasky from the Batavia Daily News and Bills Digest. Well, let's start with that question, Alex. You asked it. Do you think the Bills are going into this postseason with just a little bit of a chip on their shoulder?
Well, first of all, thank you for having me, guys. Exciting to be on, as always. Hopefully you got the light situation figured out. But, yeah, absolutely. I think this team has had a chip on its shoulder all year, and that's been developed by the way that they've played, quite honestly, all year. A lot of doubters have built up over the past several months, and within the player ranks, apparently, as well, as no Bills players awarded NFLPA All-Pro honors. Now, those aren't the quote-unquote real All-Pro honors. Those set to come out and voted on by the AP. So we'll see how the Bills players are awarded when those come out. But certainly no players feeling that Bills players were deserving enough to deserve that honor. So, yeah, I'm sure that adds to the chip that is on the Bills' shoulder throughout the season.
Yeah, Josh Allen not being named to the Pro Bowl too. It's the one thing they all want is the prize at the end of this playoff. And looking at the game on Sunday, let's start with the injury situation. The update today from the injury report: Gabe Davis as well as Rasul Douglas not practicing. What chances do you put here that they'll be ready coming up on Sunday, Alex?
Yeah, I think it will remain to be seen. The first media viewing portion of practice will be open tomorrow at Highmark Stadium, so I guess we'll get a better feel of it at that point. But you mentioned it, the injuries really piling up here with the Bills starters continuing to go out on the defensive side of the ball, and now those injuries spreading over to the offense with Gabe Davis, who's had an up-and-down season, but productive nonetheless. And I asked Sean McDermott about his value in the running game, and he certainly placed high value on Gabe Davis's play in the running game and sort of credited him for the emergence of James Cook this year. So a lot of key injuries for the Bills this year. I think it remains to be seen which players are going to suit up or have a chance to over the next few days. Tyrell Dodson took a step after Sean McDermott ruled him out prior to practice. During the walkthrough, he was limited, so he seems to be trending in the right direction. But you mentioned it, Gabe Davis, Rasul Douglas, and Taylor Rapp, all DNPs today for the Bills. So those three will really be names to watch over the next few days to determine their status for this wild card matchup against the Steelers.
Alex, it's going to be an ongoing storyline here as we get closer and closer to kickoff on Sunday, and that's the weather. I know it was a topic of conversation today. What do we learn about the Bills and their preparations here for what could be a snow event come Sunday afternoon?
Yeah, there's no doubt both of these teams are certainly accustomed to playing in winter weather. The Steelers not that far away from Western New York and get hit with quite a bit of snow and blustery weather in their own right. So they'll be coming into a familiar situation here at Highmark Stadium. But I was at the game years ago against the Colts, where I don't think there's ever been a snowier game in Bills history, and if there is, I certainly can't put my finger on it. If it gets to that level, that will certainly be an under situation, but I don't think it's going to quite ramp up to that drastic of a weather situation. I think you're going to see 20-degree temperatures, maybe 20-mile-per-hour winds with some snow flurries. That's what it seems to be trending towards, although there is some talk, as you said, about that winter event or maybe something more increasingly worrisome occurring on Sunday. But I think this game's going to come down to the Bills' passing game and Josh Allen, who said that he had the ball coming out of his hand the best he's felt all year this past week, and I think he's going to be able to cut it loose this weekend against the Steelers.
So, Alex, I'll ask you a question we don't know the answer to, but what do you think would be the better course of action if Gabe Davis can't go? We know Khalil Shakir. In fact, you can make the argument he looks more like a number 2 right now than Gabe Davis does. Gabe Davis is a blocker. Certainly he would be missed if he's not on the field. But what would be the better course here? Would it be, okay, just plug and play Trent Sherfield, and he had an acrobatic catch, mind you, or go to more 12 personnel, and the idea that you could have Knox and Kincaid in that as your primary offense? How do you think the Buffalo Bills go about replacing Gabe Davis this week?
Yeah, I think you hit it right on the head there. I think if Davis is to miss this game, you'll certainly see more Shakir, as you've seen over the course of this season, working his way more regularly into the rotation there at wide receiver and making an impact. His second 100-yard game this past week against the Dolphins. And I also mentioned Shakir in my question to Sean McDermott about the run blocking. So both he and Davis have really played a role in that regard. So if they do lose Davis, they will still have Shakir along the outside. But, yeah, I think you go to that 12 personnel. Dawson Knox removed from that brief respite on the injury list. And now he's back. He caught a big touchdown. And Dalton Kincaid has just been incredible this year. I think he's been everything the Bills could have asked from him, setting the new receiving record for a tight end in Bills history. And Josh Allen was asked about it today, and he says he doesn't feel that Kincaid has hit the rookie wall at all this season, and I think that's been apparent. Kincaid has just powered through and continued to be a valuable target for Allen in the passing game, and I think you need to work him into this game. The Steelers have had trouble covering tight ends throughout the season and really in the secondary overall. And I think with Kincaid's speed across the formation, I think that's a key way that you can supplement a potential loss of Gabe Davis in the passing game, who we saw with that 98-yard touchdown against the Steelers last year. So certainly a history there against this Pittsburgh team with Davis would be a loss for the Bills, regardless of how Bills fans may have felt how Davis' season has gone this year. But, I think Kincaid and Shakir being increased in their usage, and then Stephon Diggs taking a step forward as well.
There you go. Stephon Diggs was where I was going to go with you there, Alex. And after the performance in Miami where he caught 7 on 8 targets, 87 yards, the hug afterwards with Sean McDermott, story's dead, right? There is no Steph Diggs drama going into the postseason.
No, absolutely not. I don't think there has been for quite some time. We haven't heard from Stephon Diggs over the past few weeks, but I think he's just as focused as ever as getting this team where it needs to go. And you saw that video released by Inside the NFL, him kind of pumping up Josh Allen before, I believe it was the final drive. Not really sure which drive that was, but he's shown that leadership on the sideline all season, and his teammates have vouched for him all season long. Dalton Kincaid was one today. He said Steph is a phenomenal leader, says that's an underlooked part of Stephon Diggs and who he is just as a person. But Kincaid said he really thinks that should be acknowledged. And I think it is more and more as the season progresses and you see the Bills kind of come through in these tough moments. I think when they were facing that adversity, it's easy to look for a scapegoat and kind of search high and low for somebody to blame and who might be creating a schism in the locker room. But things have been going well for the Bills over the past 5 games. And although Stephon Diggs hasn't put his best performance forward, he's remained positive, and those teammates of his continue to vouch for him, and his coaches as well.
Yeah, Alex, you don't work for the team, neither do we, and we're not superstitious. So when we look ahead here, and I think most people would expect the Buffalo Bills to come out on top in this game, Could the bracket have been drawn up any better as a number 2 seed? Meaning, of those 3 possible second-round opponents, whether that's Kansas City or if they get knocked off, whether that's Cleveland or Houston, do any of those 3 really put fear into your heart looking ahead here, Alex?
The team that I would fear the most if I'm the Bills is Cleveland, just with that defense and what they've been able to do all season. Myles Garrett is just an unbelievable player on the edge, and they're really a complete team on that side of the ball, and they've proven as much all season. And you see what Joe Flacco's been able to do with that team, really a reclamation project there. Although he doesn't really strike fear to me, it's more that defense. I would say Cleveland as the team that would really terrify me or get close to terrifying me if I were the Bills. But I think you've already proven that you can take care of Kansas City. You would get them at home. And by no means am I scared off by the Houston Texans. C.J. Stroud has been fantastic in his rookie season, and Devin Singletary has provided a spark in the running game there for them as well in his first season being removed from Buffalo. But, yeah, I think the team out of those 3 is certainly Cleveland. But you got to get through the Steelers, as the Bills have shown all season. They've struggled to beat these teams that they match up well with, so they certainly have to take care of business. And by no means are they taking them lightly, judging based off of their comments this afternoon at Highmark Stadium.
Is that how you see it shaking out in the AFC? Do you see Cleveland advancing past Houston? Do you see Kansas City taking care of Miami?
Yeah, that'd be how I see it. I really think Cleveland has something special with that defense and just the mojo from Joe Flacco and what he's able to do in the playoffs. His playoff record speaks for itself. And C.J. Stroud, I think, has really been just a fantastic story. But the playoffs are a different story. And I think really the rubber might meet the road there for him this week. And Kansas City has shown what they can do in the postseason. Andy Reid is as experienced as it gets at the head coaching position. And Patrick Mahomes just seems to work his magic playoffs every season. So, yeah, those would be the 2 teams that I favor going into this weekend.
Alex Brash.
And with Miami as banged up as they are, that's another factor to weigh into that game.
Yeah, well, yeah, Miami going out there, and they're not, I don't think, built for those kind of temperatures, but we'll see here. When you look at the other bracket here, now Danger loves the Rams, actually, to potentially knock off the Lions. Do you see any surprises in the NFC, Alex?
Yeah, a lot of people are looking at that Green Bay Cowboys game as one way or the other. I've seen a lot of people say all Cowboys, and some people say it's going to be close. I would fall under the it's going to be close category. I think Jordan Love has really had a nice season for Green Bay, and Dallas does not scare me by any means. Mike McCarthy, although I think he's done a good job with that team, I think there's been chinks in the armor for him throughout the season, and same thing with Dak Prescott throughout his career. He's had an incredible season, but he's had some duds this year, particularly against the Bills. So I think it remains to be seen if the Cowboys are for real, and I think we'll see it this week as they go up against the Packers. The Rams have been a surprise this year, so I like that pick from Danger, especially with the Lions. Correct me if I'm wrong, I believe they sustained a few critical injuries. One to the rookie tight end, Sam Laporta, this past week when Dan Campbell decided to play all of his starters and like it was a playoff game. I think that came back to bite him a little bit, right in the kneecap. But yeah, I think the Rams are a solid pick there for Danger. And the Eagles, kind of an anomaly all season, hot and cold. We'll see what they have to offer come postseason time.
Alex, I think Dallas is an interesting. The outcome of the Dallas game is more interesting to me than anything when you consider that if Mike McCarthy were to lose to Green Bay and you're Jerry Jones and you have a decision to make, do you keep Mike McCarthy or do you keep Dan Quinn before, as everybody is speculating now with the news of Pete Carroll today, Dan Quinn goes to Seattle to be their new head coach?
Boy, that'd be a tough decision with Dallas pulling off the 2 seed and really seemingly gaining momentum with Dak Prescott. That would be a surprise, I think, if they get rid of the offensive play caller and really the offensive guru for that team. I think that would be a setback for them, even if they are to lose this game to Green Bay. But, yeah, I didn't even weigh that into my analysis. That is an interesting storyline going into this game. Mike McCarthy versus the Packers, the team he led to the Super Bowl. Certainly something else to weigh in there. And
I know that probably none, if any, Packers are still around from that Super Bowl team, but or personnel, staff, whatever. But perhaps they're a little extra motivated to beat the team's former head coach.
Yeah, I think the kicker was with the Giants there. What's his name? Mason. What's his name?
Mason Rudolph?
No. Crosby. Thank you. Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. So
one-track mind.
Yeah, exactly. We're all on Mason Rudolph. Alex, how do you see this playing out coming up Sunday? Steelers, Bills, in what could be a weatherish sort of day.
Yeah, I don't know how, if you're going about predicting this game, I don't know how you could predict anything other than a Bills win by a sizable margin. I mean, they are the better team. The Steelers are on their third-string quarterback who has played fairly well. He hasn't turned the ball over. He's put them in position to win. They have a great head coach. They have a good running game. Defensive line is strong. But the Bills were picked to win the Super Bowl at the beginning of the year by many people in the national media, the local media, the same. They had some setbacks throughout the year. They seemingly have regained their rhythm. All signs point toward a lopsided Bills win in this one, but there is that lingering factor that the Bills have not shown up at times this season, so they're going to have to prove it out there this weekend and show that they can come through with a big win in a big spot. But, yeah, I got a big Bills win. If you're going to tell me to give you a number right now, this might change throughout the course of the week, but I'd probably put it at 28-10, 28-14, somewhere in that range. Double-digit win for the Bills. Take care of business. Move on. See you play next week.
And it's so funny, Alex, that you mentioned that. The idea that even though they've won these games, save for maybe the Dallas game, their play within games, and even games that they win, are wildly inconsistent. I mean, the Miami game was a tale of two halves.
Right. Even in this last game, as you mentioned, the 3 turnovers and then just the incredible second half put forth by Josh Allen. Really the cherry on top being that 3rd and 13 conversion. Just absolutely incredible. Anthony from Cover One put out perhaps one of the best memes I've seen, the John Wick video, him running through with the gun through the henchman. Just incredible. That's what Josh Allen looked like on that run, just going through the Miami defenders, a couple of them making business decisions on that play. But, yeah, they've been wildly inconsistent, to your point, all season, and that's why all signs pointing towards a lopsided Bills win. There is some lingering doubt in the minds of many just based on the fact that when you think this team has it all going, they let you down this year anyway. And I guess they're trying to continuously overcome that, and they'll have another chance to keep this winning streak rolling this week against Pittsburgh.
Alex Brasky, Batavia Daily News and Bills Digest. Hardworking man, Danger, this Alex Brasky. So what is available on Bills Digest, Batavia Daily News we can check out and read in preparation for the game?
Yeah, we actually just released our wild card preview for Bills Digest. It's a bonus issue, digital only. It's kind of a mini issue, just previewing the game, my column, kind of a wrap-up of the season, a quick wrap-up, and then looking forward into this game while also reviewing that Dolphins win that allowed the Bills to finish the season with that number 2 seed, which I believe they had a under 1% chance to do it at one time earlier this season. So quite the turnaround for them. But yeah, you can find that stat and plenty of other stats inside Bills Digest, the wildcard preview issue available now. It's my pinned tweet at Alex Brasky on X, I should say. So you can subscribe there. Just click the link and subscribe for the full season. 7 issues, a lot of coverage in the off season. So after the Bills either are ousted from the playoffs or win the Super Bowl, we'll be ramping up the coverage leading into the draft and then obviously in the next training camp as well. So Bills Digest and then also the dailynewsonline.com. We welcomed a new reporter, AJ Cebulski. He's doing a great job. So our Bills coverage getting better than ever at the Batavia Daily News as well.
Alex, you're the best, buddy. Keep up the great work, and let's talk again soon.
Thanks, guys.
Got it, Alex Brasky. Yeah, we did figure out the lights, by the way. Alex was very concerned, hoping that we figured out the lights. We figured out they were washing you out a little bit. Pretty bright out of the gates.
Yeah, that's, we're kind of very pale here at this time of year. Yeah, you figured it out. I did not. Don't you? Thank you for having my back there. But
we're a team, Gino. We're a team. We figured that out, and I'll go against
what Brasky's saying. I think it's very easy to say that the Bills can win by double digits. And look, that outcome would be fantastic. I think we would all love if wild card weekend the Bills do to the Steelers similarly what they did to the Patriots a couple of seasons ago, right? Like, we want that perfect game. We expect that perfect game against what is perceived to be an inferior opponent. There's nothing about this team and the way that they've played, even through their winning streak, that lets me believe they should be a double-digit favorite against anybody.
Well, yeah, and then the snow, too. Like, we all point to the Colts game as being, okay, that's as bad as it could get. Well, forget about the Colts team. They were a bad team, Danger.
Yeah.
They were like the third worst team in the league at the time, but that evens everything out. Frank Gore having himself a day for Indianapolis. So you're just hoping a little light snow. If you're heading to the game, go a little early. I would suggest, guy who loves talking about this stuff, he's coming up 4 or 5. I want to get his flavor, too, of what he experienced.
Count Hetzko?
No. Talking about Sal Capaccio.
But how many inches could we actually get on Sunday, on game day? Could we get 2, 3, 5 inches of snow?
Mike Danger, I'm very disappointed in you for mocking the wind forecast. You know, Penyan, they had lots and lots of wind last night. Be sure to watch the 13 VAM news tonight, and make sure to watch me, Count Hetzko, because if you don't, you should be very, very scared for all the snow this weekend in Buffalo. 5, 6, 7 inches.
I don't know if that bit's getting old anytime soon. The Lightning edition makes it. That makes it. Say great. Speaking of bits, Mike tweeting us at the Fan Rochester. My favorite McDermott McLie was when he called the Dolphins' offense almost revolutionary back in Week 4, right before the Bills' defense thoroughly undressed them.
You remember we said at the time, like, okay, revolutionary offenses in the NFL, the West Coast offense.
Yeah.
Yes, that would be revolutionary.
Yeah, what is Mike McDaniel? Mike McDaniel's offense is just a variation of the West Coast offense that has been passed down now through generations. Revolutionary. Yeah, they made some adjustments, figured it out, and thoroughly dismantled Miami in Week 4. All right, great stuff from Brasky. Let's get Sal on with us next. Sal Capaccio, you can hear him on the Buffalo Bills radio network, patrolling the sidelines, and Sunday will be no different. That game is here on the Fan Rochester, kickoff just after 1 o'clock, and of course our pregame gets underway Sunday morning, 9 o'clock, right after the legendary Italian Carousel here on the Fan Rochester. So Sal joins us next. We'll get his report from today's practice in Orchard Park, look over some of these Bills injuries, talk a little bit about the division clinching win Sunday night in Miami, and of course preview Bills Steelers with Sal Capaccio next on the Fan.
You're listening to the HD2 and W239BF Rochester. The sports leader. 95.7 FM and AM 950. The Fan, Rochester.
Always live on the free Odyssey app.
The Fan, Rochester. Sports update.
Gabe Davis, Rasul Douglas, Taylor Rapp all did not practice for the Buffalo Bills today. Josh Allen, full go. He's ready for the postseason.
That's playoff football, I guess, right? And then, especially in the Northeast, this is two teams that are used to this type of weather, and the game plans are going to be probably slightly different than what we're both used to. But again, it's whoever can come out on Sunday and execute the best.
Snow expected in Buffalo on Sunday. Sal Capaccio will join us next year in the Sports Bar. Yuli Kalik and Isaac Rosane both named to the AHL All-Star team. The Amherst in Charlotte Friday and Saturday. Syracuse basketball tonight hosting Boston College. St. John Fisher University today announcing they're adding Division III men's and women's hockey to begin in 2025. Gene Battaglia, the sports leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950. The Fan, Rochester.
The Sports Bar with Danger and Battaglia.
This is a good football team, undefeated under Mason Rudolph and well coached.
The Steelers can upset the Bills without TJ Watt.
Can they? Yes. Well, they probably not anymore.
It's the playoffs, and it's a Pittsburgh team with no pressure, house money, Mason Rudolph. Tomlin is going to eat up this double-digit underdog that they are, and they're going to play tough.
Nobody should be looked past this game. Like, this is still a Pittsburgh team that they're not great, but they don't make a lot of mistakes, and they make you beat them. So the Bills are going to have to do that.
It's win or go home.
Mike Danger.
We can talk about what happens after Sunday. The team won't do it, but let's just allow ourselves for a moment to imagine the Bills winning.
Gene Battaglia.
It's not something you can automatically pencil in. And the Bills are the team in the NFL that can beat anybody. And they could also lose to anybody. You got to put in a good week of work during practice.
Kraken score! Coming down that far side of the ice. The Nears.
As Seattle wins it 5-2.
And we made mistakes. We pressed.
95.7 FM and AM 950 The Fan, Rochester.
You're back in the Sports Bar, Danger and Battaglia. Getting you set for Sunday. Bills hosting the Steelers Super Wild Card Weekend. Lots of intriguing storylines throughout the first round of the NFL playoffs. And, of course, we'll get the latest from Orchard Park. Today's first day of practice for the Buffalo Bills. A fairly lengthy injury report. A handful of players not participating in today's practice, including Rasul Douglas, Gabe Davis. Taylor Rapp sat out with a calf injury. You had veterans' days of rest for both Von Miller and Leonard Floyd, the pass rushers, taking a day off. Tyrell Dodson, Ty Johnson limited in today's practice, as well as left tackle Deion Dawkins, who's dealing with that stitched up hand that he got cut up there in Miami. You're welcome to join us in the Sports Bar at 866-4FAN, 585-866-4326. That's the Good Smoke Barbecue and Pub Wingman line. Joining us from Buffalo, our Odyssey Sports sister station, WGR, the Buffalo Bills Radio Network. Always love having Sal on with us, Sal Capaccio, now on in the Sports Bar. And Sal, let's just go back to Sunday night for a second, because that felt like Josh called it a microcosm of the season. I really feel like he was spot on with that, and kind of inconsistent through the course of the game. They do a lot to get the win, and a lot of emotion after the game. How are you, Sal?
Pretty good, guys. Thanks for having me. And, it was pretty amazing being there on Sunday night, obviously. I'm sorry about that. Excuse me. And, after the game, I normally get a player that from the Bills after they win. I don't do it after a loss. I go on the field. I get an interview after they win. And I've never had Sean McDermott as a post-game interview, but I give full marks and credit and thank yous to Bill's PR, because Derek Boyko, PR director, I said to him, hey, I'm going to get either Deontay or Dawson Knox, because those were guys I figured had game-changing plays in the game and things like that. And he looked at me, he goes, hey, if you want Sean, he's right here. You can grab him. And I'm like, yes, of course I do. And that was what was awesome about it. It was unexpected, it was spontaneous. And as I'm talking to Sean, he's got his back turned to the stands. He's facing the middle of the field, and I'm facing him, so I'm facing the fans. So I said, Coach, I want you to turn around and take a look at this. And it was just awesome.
Can I interrupt, Sal? I have the
Yeah.
audio so everybody can listen to it. This was Sal, and trust me, I don't. Great job by you. I've never heard McDermott like this. This was Sal to Sean as he was just describing it. I think. I'm not up.
No, you're up. It's not coming out off of that clip.
Uh-oh.
That's fine.
All right, we'll find
Sal, if you get it, let me know. But anyway, so what happened was Sean got very emotional right there, and you could see the pure joy and elation, and quite frankly, I think exhale from him. Right? I think that everybody kind of was in that boat a little bit, which was there was an exhale about getting through what they got through for the weekend, and really the last several weeks of having to keep winning on edge, and then suddenly, okay, we did it, we're here. And I think you felt that collectively among everybody, overall in the stadium even.
Sal Capaccio joining us here as the Bills are the number 2 seed. Sal, when the team was 6-6, and kind of this was after the Philadelphia loss, could you see signs that this was turning around? How surprised are you that the Bills are where they are now as compared to where they were following that loss to the Eagles?
Well, I mean, I don't want to be naive and say I'm not surprised at all. But I think that there was a general recognition amongst anybody who's watched this team that they had the ability to do that. They have the ability to run the table. They have the ability to win every single week that they go out there. I think what the part that was tough about it was looking at the opponents: Chiefs, Cowboys, going out to L.A., New England already beat them, Dolphins at the end of the year. Right? It was just can you win maybe 4 of those games? Sure. Can you run the table? Probably not. It's just unrealistic. It's a tough ask. It's a tough climb. I think that was the part of it. So, it wasn't surprising to me at the end of the day that each game individually they won. I think collectively, though, that was the surprising part overall. I saw signs. I saw signs after they, when they went out there against the Jets and the first game for Joe Brady, and they put up 32 against a really good Jets defense. The next week they scored 34 against the Eagles. And yes, I know they lost, but you're like, wait a minute, they might have found something. It was very, very similar to, and I know people brought it up at the time, the same thing happened at the Buccaneers in 21 when they go to overtime and lose, and they come out of that game going, you know what? I mean, we found something here. Our offense started clicking, and I had a lot of those same vibes, and people wanted to compare it, but they were so far back, right? They were 3 games back of Miami with 5 to play, and they caught them. Now, thanks to the Tennessee Titans for beating Miami down in Miami on that Sunday night. That was a help, or Monday night, whatever it was. But, that was – they had to work to do, and they had to get help. So I don't think anybody would have realized they're here. And then real quick, at the end of the day, I mean, let's think about this for a second. They actually went over the Vegas win total this year after all they've been through with 11 wins.
Yeah. Sal, I'm curious about the injury report from today. You saw a lot of guys step up and make plays Sunday night with guys kind of going down. Rasul Douglas, Gabe Davis, Taylor Rapp out with the injury today. Do you get the sense that maybe Douglas and Rapp could be good to go, with Davis maybe more a week-to-week thing? What's your sense on the injury report here from the Bills today?
Well, the concerning part is you have so many guys who are on the injury report who did not finish last week, right? Deion Dawkins did finish the game, but he's got his hand laceration. Let's remember, today was a walkthrough. What they do on a walkthrough is it's an estimated injury report. So it's basically, hey, if we had a full practice today, here's where these guys would have been listed, whether it's limited or full or not practicing. But anyway, so Gabe Davis didn't finish with the knee. Rasul Douglas didn't finish with the knee. And at the end, I'm looking, Taylor Rapp had a calf injury at the very end. I don't know if you guys saw it. A lot of people didn't even realize. Taylor Rapp got hurt on the play that he made the interception.
Yeah, I thought he had the wind knocked out of him. It looked like he just landed on the ball. You couldn't really tell what he might have tweaked.
He had a calf injury. So today, none of those 3 practiced. The good news is Ty Johnson would have been limited even in concussion protocol, which is always good to see guys progressing that quickly and not, sometimes you're not practicing. If he's limited, it doesn't mean he's ready to play on Sunday, but at least that's a nice step that he's already advancing. And you can be limited while you're in the protocol throughout the week. We'll see where that goes. And Tyrell Dodson was limited with the shoulder. Also, I would say the encouraging part is Sean McDermott called them all day today. So we'll see where it goes throughout the week. We'll see where it goes every single day. But, nobody's been declared out, or you think right now this person's just not going to make it. Like TJ Watt, we know he's not going to play for the Steelers. But it doesn't mean anybody's going to play on the list. But having all of them termed day to day is very encouraging.
Sal Capaccio joining us in the sports bar. Excuse me here. Sal, I know I'm going to be listening to your show on Friday. Couple reasons. One, you always have McDermott on Friday. And two, I don't, we're not familiar here in Rochester with Patrick Hammer, but it seems he knows a little bit about Buffalo weather. So you being our advisor, that's my fear in this game. Weather being the equalizer. Like, we all point to the Colts game. The Colts weren't a very good team when they came in, but that game went right down to the end because, well, weather does that. So what are you hearing? What should we expect? Who do we follow? What do you think about the weather coming up on Sunday?
Well, I've been saying the exact same thing you just said, which is the weather can be the ultimate equalizer. And I don't like that when you play against a team like the Pittsburgh Steelers that just wants to grind it out and shorten the game. You make a couple mistakes in the weather, they get up on you by 10 points. Like, it becomes a really tough uphill climb against a team like that. And that's the thing that would concern me, especially the Bills, turning the ball over. They've done that a little bit too much this year. You don't want that to happen. So yeah, that would be my concern. So Patrick Hammer is, WGRZ TV, chief meteorologist here in Buffalo. That's the NBC affiliate here in Buffalo, Channel 2 on television. And he comes on my show every Friday, and we do a weather segment. He has already texted me this week. Now, this was Monday. A couple of days ago now. But he already told me, hey, there's going to be a lot of information out there, some good, some bad. He always tells me, and this is really important, yes, you get a general gauge of the normal weather apps. Like, I go to my Weather Channel app, and he always says, Sal, don't do that. That's just those are people just looking at something and plugging something in. It's really, you got to dial in on the actual people who are boots on the ground, in-house, in Buffalo, and Patrick is one of the best to do that. Anyway, he did say it's going to be a weather game, but just not really sure yet what weather we're going to get. And from everything I've looked, this is me talking now, it seems like, it's going to be windy. Is it going to be Patriots Monday night windy? No, but it's going to be windy, like 20, 30 mile an hour winds. Maybe as high as like a couple gusts up to 50, I've read. I don't know about that, but it's going to be 20, 25, 30 mile an hour maybe. And then it's going to be cold. It's probably going to be about 20 to 25 degrees, which, by the way, isn't that's not Arctic temperature. The Bills have played in much colder air than that. I haven't heard about the wind chill yet. The thing they're watching, I think, guys, is the snow. I guess there's a big lake effect band that could come and approach the stadium during the game around game time. Some models are saying it's going to be lower than that, like more south of that, but you never know with this lake effect. And that can really be a game changer, so much so if you could have nothing or you could have like 3 inches through a 3-hour period. It's crazy.
Sal, so much is made of physicality in the NFL, and when you're talking about a weather game, certainly the team that plays a more physical brand has a better chance of winning. We saw the Bills just manhandle the Cowboys in what looked like their most physical game of the year. Sean McDermott today kind of talking about the mindset of the physicality, and it's a hard thing to quantify, but you know it when you see it, and both of these teams have the ability to play that brand of football. What's it going to come down to when you factor in the weather and these two teams being and wanting to play a physical brand?
I don't want to sound like an old school cliche football coach, but I'm going to sound like an old school cliche football coach here. In situations like that, I believe it comes down to turnovers and a few plays here or there, maybe even on special teams, right? All it takes is look. Remember 2021, the Steelers come to Buffalo in the opener. The Bills were they were moving the ball, but they had that 4th down turnover, and then what happened? They had the blocked punt for a touchdown against them, and that's how the Steelers beat them. The Steelers beat them because they blocked the punt for a touchdown. Danny Smith, the Steelers coordinator, special teams, he's going to try and dial something up. He'll try to do something to alter this game, whether that's coming after a punt or a fake field goal. Like, they'll do something like that. I'm generally convinced of it. We'll see. And then turnovers. Josh Allen throwing turnovers in the end zone can't happen this week, guys. It just can't. Like, you got to get 3 points on that. This is not a prolific offense you're playing against with the Pittsburgh Steelers. If you don't give them opportunities, then you need to just capitalize on your drives at the end. And as Josh Allen likes to say, make sure every drive is ending with a kick, right? Instead of a turnover or something like that. And he generally means an extra point or a field goal. So that's what the goal has to be. And yeah, I do think both teams will try to be physical. That's the Steelers' MO, and the Bills can be now. We know that. They can play a physical brand. They've done that this year. They're not just a some finesse team that has Josh Allen throw it all over the place. That can happen. They can do that. But in this type of game, I think they're going to be looking for a little bit more out of the run game, and they're going to have to stop the run. The Steelers are going to want to run the football. That's who they are. They're going to want to, pound the ball at the Bills, shorten the game, make it for them a low-scoring game. That's where, as my buddy Tim Benz in Pittsburgh said to me today, that's where Mike Tomlin likes to live. And that's right? We all know that about Mike Tomlin and this team. Now, Mason Rudolph's done well, though, here the last 3 weeks. He's gotten the ball to his receivers. His receivers have yards after catch. He puts it on target to them. That's a challenge to tackle, especially when you have a damp field. You need to have your footing to be able to tackle, to get to people. So that's the only kind of issue I think that, you worry about on that end with their passing game. On the other end, no TJ Watt for the Steelers. It's a massive, massive deal. Even if all 5 of the guys I just mentioned, let's say the three that didn't practice today, Douglas and Gabe Davis and whoever, the one I forget, Taylor Rapp. Even if all 3 were out, I would still argue, guys, that them losing TJ Watt is bigger than the collective loss of those 3 for the Bills, as much as those guys are important to them.
Yeah, if we can kind of focus maybe on Gabe Davis here a little bit, because there was one play I like him as a blocker. I like him in some things that otherwise he does, but how do you see the Bills kind of going about this? Because Khalil Shakir has really stepped up here, Sal. Do you go with 3 wide receivers in Sherfield? I know you don't know the answer to this, and even it did, but I'm just fascinated to figure out, do you go with or the 2 tight end set here? A lot of different ways the Bills could go about if Gabe Davis is not available this week.
Well, they'll stay as multiple as they can. They like to do that, and I do think that, the 12 personnel is something they like to lean on, and it really worked for them last week. Kincaid had a nice game. They matched him up a lot. If you can get some matchups in 12 personnel, they'd like to do that. The area that you're going to be hurt with Gabe Davis is blocking as well. I mean, there's a game where, the run game comes in, but, Gabe is a really good blocker. Now, that said, so is Trent Sherfield. Trent Sherfield's a really good blocker. So, I don't think you're losing a ton there, but Gabe is on the field all the time for this team because when he's on the field, you don't know what's coming. It could be a pass, it could be a run. He does so much. I think Khalil Shakir has really blossomed, like you said. He's got a great catch target ratio. He had catch percentage. He's a run after catch guy. He just does a lot of the little things right. It's been a nice connection with him and Josh that they're developing. And I do think that he's a guy that's got to come into play here. I don't know if Gabe's going to play. We'll see. But that's obviously something that they'll lose. You know where you lose it too? It's the depth. People talk about, well, get this guy off the field. Why is Sherfield playing? Before last game, you know how many people I heard say, they should activate Justin Shorter and get rid of Trent Sherfield and Deontay Hardy? I'm not kidding you. Like, Bills fans are saying things like this. But I think you got a great example of why those guys are important. If you have a guy go out in the middle of a game, like, Gabe Davis, you got to rely on those guys to be big players for you. And that's why they're important. So I think where it hurts you to lose a guy like Davis is the back end of your roster. I wouldn't be surprised to see Andy Isabella activated if that's the case.
Sal, the team isn't going to talk about next week because there is no tomorrow. They're only focused on Sunday, but we're fans and we can look around what's going on in the AFC and look at the other matchups. Curious as to how you see it all shaking out here with Kansas City hosting Miami. That Houston and Cleveland matchup is intriguing as well. And this path for the Buffalo Bills, if we allow ourselves to believe that they'll win on Sunday, it looks like a very, very interesting path here in the divisional round and beyond.
It really is. I actually had a debate on my show today and had some people call in, and the thought was, and the question basically was, what's better for the Bills? Would you rather see the Dolphins beat the Chiefs and knock the Chiefs out, right? Get them out. But then how much of a chance you give the Dolphins to go to Baltimore to beat them, really, right? Which I don't really give much of a chance. And then do you want to see the Dolphins for the third time? It's really hard if they were to advance that far anyway. And then if that happens, by the way, if the Dolphins do knock out the Chiefs, you would play the Texans or Browns at home. Or the flip side is, do you want to see the Chiefs just take the Dolphins out and you get Patrick Mahomes in your place after having to go there for his first ever road playoff game? I don't know. I probably think that knocking the Chiefs out is the better way to go. I get that, but I would understand both arguments there. And I think that the biggest thing here for the Bills, though, and their fans is to think and realize, and people have, getting that 2 seed was so important because you could either play the Chiefs at home in Mahomes' first ever road playoff game with an offense that hasn't found its way this year, the Browns with Joe Flacco, or the Texans with a rookie quarterback, as much as I love the kid, and he's playing great, by the way. The difference is, and then not have Baltimore in the second round, right? You all totally avoid them. Versus if everything wouldn't have gone their way and they had to sneak in, I mean, they would have go back to Miami, and then they had to go to Baltimore the next week. What a different road.
No doubt about it, Sal. Okay, can I just cast my vote? I know you probably get this on.
Yeah.
Give me Kansas City, please, with fans in the stands. Sal, okay, here's your trivia question today. The last time there was fans in the stands when the Bills hosted the Chiefs, who's the starting quarterback for Buffalo that day?
Jeff Toole.
Oh!
You thought you were going to stump Sal? You could stump me. You're not stumping Sal on that one.
Yeah, he's like, come on, Gene. That's easy. Jeff Toole, that's how far back.
It was Tool time, baby.
Time.
It was Tool time.
Yeah.
That was when Stevie Johnson kind of slipped on the route at the goal line, and they took it back 99 yards. And the Bills would have won that game.
Yeah, I mean, I just want to getting ahead of ourselves, what that atmosphere would be like. It's going to be fun anyways. Yeah. Sal, what is coming up on the Extra Point Show? What can we look forward to as we're approaching kickoff on Sunday?
Well, you guys mentioned it. Friday is Sean McDermott press conference. Sean McDermott Day on the radio. It's his weekly radio appearance. We'll get with him. We'll talk about the game and look back a little bit, mostly look ahead. We'll get an injury update. We'll be first on that. We'll have it before anybody else, so you can listen to that. He generally joins us at just after 11 a.m. And then Patrick Hammer with the weather updates. It's a big Friday, Extra Point Show. Still trying to figure out, my co-host, Joe DiBiase, was under the weather today. So if he is tomorrow, I'll probably join Jeremy in the morning show. We'll switch some things up. But, we always got things going on. Planning to talk to Josh Reed tomorrow as well, whether that's morning show or Extra Point Show on WGR. And, of course, we'll stay on top of everything here, including the weather. And like I said, Pat Hammer at 11:30 on Friday is a big deal.
All right. Appreciate the time as always, Sal. Great stuff. And enjoy your weekend, buddy. Looking forward to talking to you again soon.
All right. You guys too. Thank you.
Thanks, Sal Capaccio, Buffalo Bills Radio Network, WGR, and the Extra Point Show. Love having him on. Like getting that little inside scoop there from, that's a good name. That's Patrick Hammer. That's a good, solid meteorologist name.
It's that band. Like, if it sets up, look out. It's going to be, it's going to make it difficult. Run, pass, whatever. I'm more confident in Josh Allen in these conditions than Mason Rudolph. And yes, they have a player in Pickens that can break in the house. They have Deontay Johnson, but
it's one of those games though, where you have to kind of look really in the trenches and say, all right, are you more confident in Josh Allen? Yes. Are you more confident in the Bills' offensive line than the Steelers' offensive line? Yes. Are you more confident in the Steelers' defensive line than the Bills' defensive line? To me, that feels like a push.
Sal's right, though. And you go back to football coach cliches here. If the Bills don't turn the ball over, number one, and number two, there's some freaky special teams play. And Danny Smith, who used to be the Bills' special teams coach, Pittsburgh beat Baltimore the first time around on freaky special teams play. So a lot of variables that could sink the Buffalo Bills, but overall, I'm pretty confident. I feel, without T.J. Watt there, that he was a big difference in that opener a couple years ago.
Yeah, for sure. All right, we'll get to some takes next in the sports bar. I'll drink to that is on the way.
Ooh, if I can, Danger, right? Where are the Buffalo Bills going to go in the draft? I'm breaking the seal, all right?
Oh, boy.
I figure, well, why not? Let's do it now.
If they lose, we're blaming you.
All right, for that. Pretty big news, a big announcement by one of our schools today here in the area in terms of what sports they're adding. But I say don't stop there. Let's kind of raise our level here in Rochester. I'll explain.
This free agent coaching market is, dare I say, robust. I did. I'll tell you what smart teams are doing right now this off season. And non-sports take today, something you can throw out there to set a tone and do it with confidence and just absolutely gain the respect of the person that you throw it out to. I'll explain what this is coming up next. We'll play I'll Drink to That in the sports bar. It's Danger and Battaglia on the Fan Rochester. It's me, Danger, for FanDuel Sportsbook, official partner of 95.7 The Fan. As good as the regular season is in the NFL, there's nothing like Super Wild Card Weekend. 6 games, 3 days, and for these teams, it's win or go home. Spent a lot of time talking about it here in the sports bar. You'll always have a spot in the playoffs with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. FanDuel has so many ways for you to pick up that W. We spent some time talking about the Bills and the Steelers and that point spread right now. I'm not sure if I see the Bills as a double-digit favorite, but you might think that the Bills are going to win in a blowout the way Brasky does it, win by double digits, a 2-score win. If you want to follow my picks, you want to side with Brasky, you can do either on FanDuel right now. And new customers get started with $150 in bonus bets, guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. Just visit FanDuel.com/Mike to join today. That's FanDuel.com/Mike, M-I-K-E, and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. 21 plus and physically present in New York. First online real money wager, only $10 first deposit required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. For help with a gambling problem, call 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369.
You're listening to the Sports Bar with Danger and Battaglia. Sports Update.
Gabe Davis, Rasul Douglas, Taylor Rapp, all not practicing for the Buffalo Bills today. Could be some snow in the forecast coming up on Sunday. Head coach Sean McDermott wants his team ready.
Very confident. Yeah, but that's why we're going out to practice today as well, to continue to work on those key fundamentals that we're going to need to execute come Sunday.
Sunday, our coverage will begin coming up at 9 a.m. Another coaching change in the NFL today. Pete Carroll is out in Seattle. He had been there since the year 2010. He'll serve as an advisor now. Yuri Kulik and Isak Rosane both named to the AHL All-Star team. The Amherst are in Charlotte Friday. The outdoor game coming up on Saturday. Buffalo Sabres last night losing to Seattle. Back home tomorrow night against Ottawa. Syracuse basketball, first home game of the calendar year. The Orange taking on Boston College. Gene Battaglin, the sports leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950, The Fan, Rochester.
Pull up a stool and join us. 585-866-4FAN. 866-4326. The Sports Bar with Danger and Battaglia on the Sports Leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950, The Fan, Rochester.
I think it's just the love and the energy that we have for each other right now, the trust and the communication that we have in practice and throughout the week within our game plans. And obviously, you're seeing guys make plays on the field. And everybody, we're happy to see our guys make plays. There's nobody not happy. We're rooting each other on. We're each other's biggest fans in this locker room. And we want to win football games, and that's the main sense and the main feeling that we have in this facility right now is do whatever it takes to get it done.
Could the Buffalo Bills be peaking at the right time? Quarterback Josh Allen right there, talking about the mindset of the team and where they're at as they await a matchup with the Pittsburgh Steelers coming up Sunday afternoon. We welcome you back into the Sports Bar. Appreciate you checking out the YouTube channel at The Fan Rochester, also streaming on Twitch at The Fan Rochester, and of course the free to download Odyssey app. It's Danger and Battaglia with some takes.
Yeah, some takes here, and we'll get more Bills-Steelers talk along the way. We've got a lot of guests coming up in the week, but if I can go on a different direction for the Buffalo Bills. As the Senior Bowl coming up in a mere 3 weeks, and I remember, gosh, in the years before Josh Allen, we'd be talking about quarterbacks, we'd be evaluating.
Right now.
November. What are you kidding? As soon as the farting around graphic came up, all right. Well, slowly we'll begin the draft card talk here. So, Danger, no one cares when you're right, but if you listen to our show, it shouldn't have been a surprise to you that the Bills drafted a tight end in the first round. We kind of came to that conclusion as the draft was approaching. So right now, and again, we're early on, only day number 1 here in the Sports Bar as far as discussion on this. Here is where I would place the top 3 needs for the Buffalo Bills in 2024. And yes, number 1, wide receiver. Okay, Khalil Shakir doing a fine job right now, but you need something else, particularly if Gabe Davis leaves. Number 2, kind of along those same lines, safety. All right, we like Poyer and Hyde. It's remarkable they've been here this long. I don't know if either of them are going to be back. Maybe both are gone. Number 3, don't roll your eyes here. Defensive end. Leonard Floyd, A.J. Epineza are free agents. Who knows what's going to happen with Von Miller? You tell me. They're going to need some help in this journey of figuring out what the Buffalo Bills, who they should take, what position. Look, it's going to be a process here. We'll get to that in April. But just brace for it. Don't rule out first-round edge rusher.
I won't rule that out. In fact, if it's not safety, that's what I think they're doing. If you're in the camp of them going wide receiver round 1, I'll fall out of my chair, man. I really don't see them doing that, knowing the importance and the emphasis that they place on the defensive line and on that defensive backfield.
Well, and here's why, Danger, because where the Bills pick at. Like the elite guys, top 10, you could say the same thing for defensive end or safety, but with an edge rusher, you don't need him to be a starter. You can have him develop at his own pace and maybe be situational year number 1. If you're drafting a first-round wide receiver, a first-round safety, the expectation is
get him in there.
They're a day 1 starter, and I don't know that the Bills want to build the team that way.
And I'll say this, too. We didn't see any of him this year, but the way we saw him in training camp and the way they've kind of put him in bubble wrap and shelved him for the rest of the season, they've got a plan for Justin Shorter. I feel like Justin Shorter is part of what next year looks like offensively for the Buffalo Bills for wide receiver. Yeah, you can draft a wide receiver, But I don't know that you're investing a first rounder in a wide receiver. They will draft a wide receiver at some point.
Well, and I think, and for so many years, like in Green Bay, they never drafted Aaron Rodgers the first round. Well, same thing in like New England for most of those years. You have the quarterback. It's the quarterback who really makes the receiver. So, yeah, I'd love to have a first-round wide receiver. I don't think it's happening.
I agree. I would say probably I would still say it's defensive end. I would say that if they have the opportunity to draft defensive end in the first round, that they would do that. Safety, maybe depends on how. I mean, I love safety that I love right now in the NFL. Man crush, Kyle Hamilton. I mean, Kyle Hamilton from the Ravens, just, them landing him, what was it, 2 years ago now in the draft? Oh.
Mid first round.
Yeah. I mean, like that's one hell of a pick. That's a player that's going to be a problem for offenses for many, many years to come. I don't know that they go safety first round. I wouldn't be mad if they went safety first round. I think they need to find a way to replenish what they have back there with Poyer and Hyde being advanced and aged. The Bears, the Jets, Geno, hell, I'll even say the two teams that are playing Monday night, Philly and Tampa. These are teams that should be considering what may be the best coaching free agent market ever. When you hear Vrabel, Harbaugh, Ben Johnson, potentially Bill Belichick, all available, please tell me how Matt Eberflus, Robert Saleh, Nick Sirianni, or even Todd Bowles are better options. Smart teams right now should be going through an evaluation exercise and not just resting on business as usual. There are obvious upgrades in this offseason market, and there are a lot of bad coaches still being employed by their teams.
Yeah, so here's the fun part. I mean, it's almost like process of elimination. Like, let's just start with Harbaugh. And again, he hasn't left Michigan, but if he's hired Don Yee, guess what? He wants a payday in the NFL. That's kind of the way I look at it. I don't see him going to Charlotte. Why would he want to deal with that? He's not going to Chicago, obviously. Where would you see Harbaugh ending up? I'm telling you, like, the most attractive job could actually be the Chargers. Like, you have the quarterback. You don't have to worry about that. You're in L.A., and the Chiefs don't look big and scary anymore. They look like a team that is in transition right now.
Yeah. Yeah, I just think that there's a lot of... I'm looking in the mirror here. When I got the news today that Eberflus is going to be in Chicago for 2024, I'm like, really? Really? This is the guy? I mean, I appreciate that you got rid of the offensive coordinator. He is terrible, but really? This is the guy?
They're not going to pay a coach. Like all these guys that you just mentioned, big money for Vrabel, big money for Bill Belichick. He's not going to Chicago.
No.
So they're cheap. Yeah. Your favorite team is cheap.
True.
Great news out of St. John Fisher today. The school is adding hockey. Yes, men and women compete at the Division III level. It'll begin in 2025. I love this. Now, next on my agenda, which, Danger, my agenda, I think should be everyone's agenda here if you love sports in Rochester. If a school isn't going to go full D1, all right? And again, that's the dream, but I don't see it happening, at least not right now. Can we get at least one school to elevate their lacrosse programs to D1? You can do that. Pick one sport and elevate it, just as RIT did for hockey and Hobart did for lacrosse. There is so much talent in lacrosse here in Rochester. Really, we are a hotbed. And just like RIT and hockey, I think the school that does this would own the sport in Rochester.
All right, so who would you nominate? What sport and what school?
Well, lacrosse.
Lacrosse for sure?
Lacrosse for sure, because basketball, I'd have to do some research on this, but elevating just the basketball teams, I don't know if anybody else has done that, but you could elevate the lacrosse teams. And who would that be? It's not the U of R.
RIT, right? It's RIT lacrosse?
They can't, because you're only allowed to one. Yeah.
Okay.
So the thought was, and again, we've reported on this. I've had it sourced. 2019, RIT had this committee, and they were evaluating going Division I across the board. In fact, they talked to somebody that has a lot of football connections, played for the Rochester Raiders, to just kind of a quasi-interview about building a football program.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh, Division I, everything across the board. Pandemic hit, new athletic director, new president, and dead. Squadoosh. So who knows how that would have played out had the world not gone. But that's fine. Could there be a team? Look, Fisher is like, that's the team I'm looking at. And obviously we have a relationship with the school. I didn't know in advance that they were talking about hockey. I didn't know that this news would drop today on this. Nazareth could do that too, Danger. Like, they have the history. They won a Division III championship. So I'm just, if Hobart can do it. Heck, I look at SUNY Albany. Like, why is SUNY Albany making the tournament doing this? Like, that should be a school in Rochester that would do this. Why would you want to do that? Well, because you want to keep kids home. You want to get more applicants. You want to get more players in the program. Smart by Fisher to do this too, because honestly, like, you're adding how many kids to your school every year? 20? That's smart business to add hockey.
Non-sports take. You ever have this happen? Happens to me a lot. You ever give out a good morning when it's clearly afternoon?
Of course.
It always happens. It happens to me every time I go to the West Side Country Club there, the Y, on the weekends. Get a late start, lose track of time, hit up the hen behind the counter with a, hey, good morning, just to see if she reciprocates. It's like 1:22 on a Saturday afternoon, but I'm dropping a good morning on her. The more emphatic, by the way, the better. Do it with a big smile on your face, very friendly. People can't help but respect the hell out of it. Set a tone. Drop a good morning regardless of what time it is. Good morning, Gene.
No. You weirdo.
What are you talking about?
Don't you own a watch?
I do. I have it right here on my wrist. Good morning.
It's like only like the two-hand handshake guy would do something like, hey, yeah, good morning.
I'm dropping good mornings all the time, especially on the weekend. Good morning, no matter what. If I run into you at Wegmans when I'm doing my chores, my grocery chores, you're getting a good morning from me, even if it's 4:00 in the afternoon. I don't care. It's good morning, because that's really when my day is starting.
You like the routine at Wegmans, don't you?
I don't like it. It's a necessity. I have to do it.
Oh, I see. I used to love doing that, and the executive producer stole that responsibility away from me.
My wife wants nothing to do with it. We balance our each other out pretty well when it comes to divvying up the household chores. And I've got a good routine, and she's got a good routine. And thankfully, she handles the cleaning. I do the cooking. I'll handle laundry. Because I do the cooking, I'll do the shopping during the week. Try to keep the kids fed. You know the deal. But it's usually that window from the end of the first game to maybe like halftime of the second game. That's usually my window when I'm at Wegmans. That's where you lose me that's where the NFL loses me for an hour.
You're kidding. You go to NFL on a Sunday. Why don't you get up in the morning and just go first thing? Or are you going to mass with the girls there?
Do you really think I want anything to do with Wegmans in the morning? First thing? On a Sunday? Have you been to a Wegmans on a Sunday morning?
No, I'm talking like early morning. I'm talking like get up 8 o'clock because that's when the produce is fresh.
Plus,
and you get
it
what
also diminishes my impact when I say a good morning. It's actually a good morning. I need to be there in the afternoon running into people and saying good morning at 4:00 in the afternoon because I feel like I just woke up. I feel like my day is just starting.
Okay, to tie this into your take yesterday where you make everything a game, like you're folding the laundry, I do my PR? You would set all sorts of shopping PRs if you went earlier because you're not waiting in line.
Too many people.
You're parking in the. No, I'm talking early morning. I'm talking get up, get out, be in at Wegmans at 7. You're out by 8.
I'm not getting up at 6 a.m. on a Sunday morning. I've got a day's worth of football to watch. I need to get as much sleep as I can get.
Who takes Walter out in the morning? Don't you have like Walter being dangerous dog?
Walter's a good boy. He doesn't ask to go out. Walter's cool, man.
Really?
Yeah, he'll just hang out in bed with us. He doesn't care. He'll go when we go. He's patient. He never push. When he forces the issue, it's after he gets fed. He gets fed, then he forces the issue.
Yeah.
He's a good boy. No, I'm not getting up at 6 a.m. Not on a Sunday, not to go grocery shopping. That ain't happening. If I'm getting up at 6 a.m., it's to go for a run. Mm-hmm. That's it. But, I need to be able to say good morning well into the afternoon. So that's out of the question. Yeah, and I'm not going, too busy. The girls go to church with Nona. They go with their Nona to church, and then they all meet up at Wegmans after church. And I've met up with them at Wegmans after church.
Oh.
And Too busy. Want no part of it. It wants no part of me. I want no part of it. Too many people.
I couldn't sacrifice 1 hour on a football NFL Sunday to do a chore. I mean, like that. There are things that are sacred, Danger. That's one of them.
Oh, no. Part of what I was saying yesterday, timing yourself, looking for the PR, now it's critical. You really have to have that internal clock going in your head. You got to be very, very deliberate with your timeouts. You need to know when you can watch this and when you can do that.
Well, it's funny. Like, can you imagine like you're shopping and somebody like, wait a second, that's Mike Danger. What's he doing on a Sunday? Shouldn't he be watching football?
I don't get recognized when I go grocery shopping. I go under the radar, pop in my earbuds, and just do my thing. But if you stop me, I'm going to say good morning. I'll tell you that right now.
Benefit being on radio.
Yeah, I'll tell you right now. If you stop me, I'm saying good morning. Brian from East Hilton. That's one guy that I have run into at Wegmans. Brian, and by the way, Brian knows that I'm a man of my word because why? He saw me put the cart in the cart corral at Wegmans. I'm a man of my word.
Who would leave it out, though? A bad person.
Biggest a-holes on the planet, and they're out there. We've seen it. It's terrible. All right, good morning to you, and thanks for listening to the Sports Bar. We appreciate you checking out the stream at The Fan Rochester, our YouTube channel, The Fan Rochester on Twitch. You can, of course, hear us in the free-to-download Odyssey app. Sal Capaccio was fantastic earlier this hour, as he always is in the Sports Bar. And Alex Brasky, the Batavia Daily News, predicting a double-digit win for the Buffalo Bills come Sunday. Ooh, I wish I had some of Alex's bravado on that one. I can't get there. I could certainly see the Bills winning by double digits. I don't know that they've earned that yet because of how inconsistent some of these games have been. But weather is now a factor.
Yeah. Fear. Mike Danger.
Oh, no.
Yes,
No. Count Hetzko is back.
Yes.
Or is it Count Hammer? Maybe it's Count Hammer.
No, it's Count Hetzko.
Oh, hey, Count Hetzko.
Shame on you. Shame on you, Mike Danger, for downplaying the windstorm. It wasn't in your neighborhood, but it was in the Finger Lakes in Buffalo last night.
Lots of power outages.
Be sure to watch more of the 13 VAM news to make sure you are watching, because if you don't, your life will be in peril with all the snow happening this week.
Fear sells. What are we saying? Are we saying that there's a potential? Right now, it's probably too early, but there's potential for a snow band over Orchard Park come kick off.
Correct.
Fantastic.
One little thing I'll sneak in here because it's a Francesa.
Who cares?
Rodgers will no longer appear on McAfee's show. That's it, according to Pat McAfee.
Right. I mean, where are we at? The guy is spouting off, and he's about to get his own company sued. Like, Jimmy Kimmel could file suit against his own company for defamation of character.
Yeah, it's almost like they gave Rodgers the opportunity just to say, oh, my God, I'm so sorry that came out wrong. And when you
He's not going to do that. He's never going to do that.
It was just so rich when he's talking about all the non-football BS has to come out of the building, and then do as I say, not as I do.
I saw Kimmel's reaction to it when he returned from the holiday break, and I'm like, oh, Kimmel's standing up for himself. Didn't hate it, and I think what he said was too arrogant to know how ignorant he is what Kimmel's line was about Aaron Rodgers. And that's kind of where I've been at with Rodgers for a long time. Like, I don't know when the arrogance with him started, but we've always kind of viewed him as a weirdo, right? Like, there's always been something a little off about Aaron Rodgers.
Go back. Like, he's the guy who broke off all communication from his family. Like, they tried to, reconcile sending Christmas gifts. Return to center of the Christmas gift.
It's a weird thing.
Yeah.
What is that? We may never know. So, flaky, arrogant, airhead, however you want to describe it. Like, I don't know that he was really bringing anything to the table anymore anyways. I mean, he's got the relationship with Pat. He's got the relationship with AJ. But why are we listening to this guy, blame everything except for a look in the mirror.
He had everything kind of set up. Like, hey, I can be like the guest host on Jeopardy. Well, maybe you didn't get the job, but you were going down that path, like setting yourself up for being this former quarterback who can endorse products as he was. And now I kind of view him as radioactive because really can't go off the rails like that.
We'll take a break and come back with Happy Hour next in the sports bar. Unfortunately.
In Happy Hour, we have a new team changing uniforms in the NFL.
We have some high uniform talk.
It's coming up in shots.
Oh, we've got to... Now I'm excited.
You haven't seen this yet, have you?
I haven't.
No, so Houston announced that they're changing. We'll tell you which team is going to do a complete makeover.
All right. Some hot uniform talk on the way. That's coming up in a round of shots. And unfortunately, there's a lengthy Bills injury report we got to talk about next. Plus, a future Hall of Famer no longer coaching his team. We'll tell you what's going on in Seattle with Happy Hour next in the sports bar. Pull up a stool. Join us on the Good Smoke Barbecue and Pub Wingman line. That's 866-4FAN. Best barbecue in town? Easy. Good Smoke Barbecue and Pub in East Rochester. Award-winning barbecue for lunch, dinner, and the perfect choice to cater your next party. Visit goodsmokebbq.com for the catering menu and order form. Check out their daily and weekly specials online or on Facebook, like the Super Slider Lunch Combo Deal for only $9.99. It's a combo deal. Let's face it, that's a combo deal that is custom made for us here in the sports bar. $9.99.
9 times.
Amazing food, amazing price, great beer selection. Good Smoke Barbecue and Pub, modern barbecue experts. 135 West Commercial Street, East Rochester, and goodsmokebbq.com.
You're listening to the Sports Bar. W239BF Rochester, the sports leader. 95.7 FM and AM 950, The Fan, Rochester.
Always live on the free Odyssey app.
The Fan, Rochester, sports update.
Gabe Davis, Rasul Douglas, Taylor Rappel did not practice today. Today was a walkthrough. Josh Allen, he's ready.
That's playoff football, I guess, right? And then, especially in the Northeast, this is two teams that are used to this type of weather, and the game plans are going to be probably slightly different than what we're both used to. But again, it's whoever can come out on Sunday and execute the best.
Snow is in the forecast Sunday. Our pregame coverage Sunday begins at 9 a.m. here on the Fan Rochester. Pete Carroll is out as head coach in Seattle. Carroll will stay on in advisory role. Yuri Kulik and Isak Rosane, both named to the AHL All-Star team. The Amerks in Charlotte coming up Friday night. Syracuse basketball tonight, hosting Boston College. St. John Fisher University today announcing they're adding Division III men's and women's hockey. Gene Battaglia, the sports leader. The Fan Rochester.
The Sports Bar with Danger and Battaglia.
This is a good football team, undefeated under Mason Rudolph and well coached.
The Steelers can upset the Bills without TJ Watt.
Can they? Yes. Well, they probably not anymore.
It's the playoffs, and it's a Pittsburgh team with no pressure, house money, Mason Rudolph. Tomlin is going to eat up this double-digit underdog that they are, and they're going to play tough.
Nobody should be looked past this game. Like, this is still a Pittsburgh team that they're not great, but they don't make a lot of mistakes, and they make you beat them. So the Bills are going to have to do that.
It's win or go home.
Mike Danger.
We can talk about what happens after Sunday. The team won't do it, but let's just allow ourselves for a moment to imagine the Bills winning.
Gene Battaglia.
It's not something you can automatically pencil in. And the Bills are the team in the NFL that can beat anybody. And they could also lose to anybody. You got to put in a good week of work during practice.
Kraken score! Coming down that far side of the ice. The Nears.
As Seattle wins it 5-2.
And we made mistakes. We pressed.
95.7 FM and AM 950, The Fan, Rochester.
Hot uniform talk coming up during shots later this hour in the sports bar. Danger and Battaglia, glad you're with us. 95.7 FM, AM 950. Appreciate you making us part of your routine. If you're driving home from a long day at work, you tune us on for just 5 minutes. That's humbling. Gene and I don't take that for granted. It is a gift to be able to talk sports with you here in the Flower City every afternoon, and you give us some of your most valuable commodity, your time. Yeah, that's something we don't take lightly. We definitely don't take that for granted.
Pete Carroll's 72, but still I'm surprised. I thought with his energy and always his positivity, and I thought he would stay on at least until the new owner came in. Like right now, the team is in trust. It's a weird situation for tax reasons. This isn't going to get sold to Seattle Seahawks until 2025. So whoever comes in has to perform right away. Either that, Danger, or is he just looking at his quarterback situation like, oh gosh, do I really want to go through another 500 season?
I remember we made our bold predictions for the 2022 season. I remember thinking to myself, that would have been Carroll's last year, because you move on from Wilson, you have this impending sale of the team, and you really don't know what your quarterback is going to be, and that Geno Smith or Drew Lock isn't going to be good enough to get you to the postseason. He bought himself an extra year. They got to the postseason last year.
Yeah, and all that probably behind the scenes dysfunction of dealing with Russell Wilson. He wrote his own ending. Like, Pete Carroll was correct in trading away Russell Wilson.
Yes, absolutely. He'll be in Canton someday. He got the Super Bowl win with the Seahawks, 2 appearances as coach of the Seahawks, and now staying on as an advisor, which, come on. I mean, what does that mean? You just kind of hang out at the facility.
Check, yeah,
you hang out at the facility and do what they ask you to do. But the heavy,
like what did Bruce Arians do this year? You're an advisor. You're getting paid. Just smile and wave. That's
right.
It. Yeah,
that's right. And by the way, it's not really Pete Carroll that's smiling and waving and getting paid. It's the hologram of Pete Carroll. Pete Carroll actually died when Malcolm Butler picked off Russell Wilson in the Super Bowl.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Ever since then, what we've seen is the hologram of Pete Carroll. Pete Carroll isn't really 72 years old. The hologram is only a few years old. That's why when you see Pete Carroll running up and down and throwing a football and doing all the stuff that you see, you don't normally see a 72-year-old guy. It's because it's not a 72-year-old guy. It's his hologram that's doing all of those things.
Just like Jim Boeheim when we saw him at Fisher over the summer. Like, that wasn't really him. Did you notice that? Like, you put your hand right through him.
Yeah, it was the hologram of Jim Boeheim for sure. So now you have seven head coaching vacancies. I cheated a little bit. I went back because I wanted to see how accurate we were with our postseason predictions, and I'm close to hitting one of them, nailing one of them. I'm close. I think I predicted that there would be 9 vacancies.
9 times.
I think we're going to get to that because what's happening in New England? The shock would be, Robert Kraft, we're going to bring back Bill here, and he's going to be the... No. They're just trying to figure out, all right, are you an advisor? Can we get somebody to offer up... Maybe that gets dragged out. The longer that gets dragged out, the more I'm thinking, my gosh, Kraft is going to try to get a draft pick here for Belichick. Again, nothing happening in New England. And again, the Sirianni thing, the fact that Jeffrey Lurie hasn't given the vote of confidence or anything like that.
Would you say the loser of that game is getting fired? Can you say that the loser of that wild card game is going to lose their job?
Yes. No, I think Bowles did enough.
I think Bowles loses his job. I think Bowles is trash.
I think Sirianni's gone. Like Mike Caroline, when he told us, like, hey, they parted quickly from Chip Kelly. They really parted quickly for a guy who won the Super Bowl and Doug Peterson. Like Nick Sirianni, it's crazy to think that, hey, you're in the Super Bowl one year and you're gonzo the next. But with all the talent that's out there on the coaching, vacancy list right now, all those guys looking for work, your Vrabels, potentially Belichick, certainly Harbaugh, and all these coordinators like Ben Johnson. Ben Johnson, like in Philadelphia, could you imagine that? That's the kind of hire they would want.
Yeah, and I think that's what smart teams do. I think smart teams are always evaluating. They're not resting. They're not as worried about continuity as a lot of us are, because if you hire the right guy, continuity doesn't matter. You hire the right guy, you're going to win. And Sirianni isn't safe. They should be looking at Philadelphia should be looking at a Ben Johnson. They should be looking at a Jim Harbaugh, or whoever they want to look at. This is a pretty deep class of potential free agent head coaches.
This is funny. Did you see this? No, because Carolina, talk about dysfunction. They have, they fired their coach, right? And they have a vacancy, but they kept on Elijah Averill, the defensive coordinator.
Yeah, they blocked him from interviewing.
Come on.
Yeah.
You're not guaranteed the job, or the next head coach is going to be like, hey, you got to keep Elijah here. Like, why wouldn't you? Hey, do you want to be here or not?
He interviewed. He's one of the candidates for their opening, right?
Correct.
So, yeah, that's. I guess you see that from time to time where ownership or the organization steps in and says, no, you're under contract. You can't go interview for that new job. But because it's coming from Tepper, it's like we immediately want to be like, oh, he's such a D.
Well, and today the news out of New York, well, Wink Martindale can interview for a job. Who knows if it was a fire, a resignation, after a few messy days there, messy situation. Free and clear now as the former defensive coordinator with the Giants.
I love that story, man. Everybody's worked with a hothead, right? Everybody's had that moment where you've worked with a hothead, somebody who's exploded on you.
Yet somebody is like, yeah, you're that hothead, Danger.
Maybe. I remember being in a meeting once where somebody got so mad that they did what we reportedly heard Wink Martindale do, like really like raise their voice, start yelling, and just storm out of the room, slam the door. Like, when that's I feel like that's every workplace. Maybe not so frequently anymore, but we've all worked with that guy.
Yeah, I think in our business it happens maybe more because we have people that amplify their emotions.
Because we're
whatever.
all neurotic.
That too.
Yeah. Anyways, Wink Martindale reportedly, upon hearing that Daboll was going to make some changes to his defensive coaching staff, Martindale reportedly cursed out Brian Daboll, didn't hold back, stormed out of the team facility, flew to Florida. So they've mutually parted ways.
Yeah.
I'm going to use the big, huge, exaggerated air quotes. There's probably no love lost now between those two men. I think Daboll doesn't hold back on his emotions either. I'm sure that there were plenty of unpleasantries exchanged between those two men as they were discussing the future of that team.
It's all good because you can have Leslie Frazier with the Giants next year. Leslie Frazier getting an interview. It's going to be this Sunday with the LA Chargers.
I like that. I'm happy for Leslie Frazier. I don't think he's getting that job.
No, in a town where you need stars, and you're talking about like making the right hire, they're going to try to get the biggest name and overpay for said biggest name, like whether that's Belichick or Harbaugh or wherever. And yeah, to those guys, maybe they take it because you do have the quarterback in place.
And look, maybe Leslie Frazier says, yeah, I just want to get back to being a head coach, and he takes this opportunity. But let's face it, given what they have, they really have quarterback, and that's it. I mean, like everything else is a rebuild. They have to gut that team because of the cap hell that they find themselves in. So whoever the new GM is has to first kind of decide what the vision is for this team long term, and then find the coach that fits that vision. I would say that your head coach for the Chargers should be a offensive minded guy, given that your strength and the guy that's untouchable is your quarterback.
Yeah, the Staley hire, what a disaster that was.
Yeah. But so Frazier, if it doesn't work out for the Chargers, yeah, I mean, that would make a lot of sense to see him as a DC with the Giants, unless Leslie Frazier is tired of being a coordinator and wants to be a head coach again. I don't think he's going to get it. But good that he's being considered. They also, the Chargers also interviewed their internal candidates, Giff Smith and Kellen Moore, got their interviews as well. See, no surprise here. Deontay Hardy, AFC Special Teams Player of the Week.
Yeah, hey, 96-yard punt return, and kind of unusual to return one that far. Look, it's the big play. You could say that put the Bills into the 2 seed right there. So, yeah, what I've been saying all along, I don't want the Bills special teams to lose a game. I don't need them to win a game, but they actually won them a game. When I look at this week, Danger, things that could concern me, and we had some great guests today. Alex Brasky, Bills Digest, Batavia News, Sal Capaccio, WGR, and he's got his show certainly from 10 to noon. You can listen on the Odyssey app. I look at the weather, and I look at the special teams, and certainly the turnovers. The Bills will turn it over. You got to figure once or twice. But will there be a game-changing play on special teams? And, oh my gosh, if a Lake Band sets up and all of a sudden, oh my gosh, we're going to have like a one-score game. It is the great equalizer. That is a football cliche, I understand. But if the Bills are going to lose a game, how would I describe it? Snow band and a special teams play.
I like the idea, if we're talking about some action, Pittsburgh with a defensive or special team touchdown. I don't know what the number is on that. But doesn't it feel like if they're going to win that game or if they're going to be competitive in that game, they're going to need points from their defense or special teams unit if the Bills are able to do what we think they can do against the Steelers? Kind of like that play. The Bills are a little banged up. Walkthrough today, so the estimated participation practice report, Gabe Davis, Rasul Douglas, Taylor Rapp, all DNPs. Von Miller, Leonard Floyd, Vets Day rest. Deion Dawkins, Terrell Dodson, Ty Johnson, all limited in today's walkthrough.
Yeah, so I'm trying to look up this because that's fascinating to me. The idea that you're going to have a special teams touchdown. See if I can't come up to that at some point. Do any of those concern me? I'd like to, like, of the three, I'd like to have Rasul Douglas back. And Dane Jackson did a fine job, but I want all my top defenders out there. I think you can get by without Rapp if needed, but I'm sure Rapp will find a way. I'm not so confident on Gabe Davis. A PCL sprain means maybe he can gut it out. And Gabe Davis as a blocking wide receiver, that's certainly valuable. But at this point of the season, this is what you brought Trent Sherfield in. And at this point in the season, the 2 tight end set is a lot of fun, right? I don't say use that as the base, but you're going to mix it up from time to time. You want to keep your opponents a little off balance. So should the Bills run, say, 40% 2 tight end? Why not? I mean, did you see who was covering Dalton Kincaid? Old man Melvin Ingram. That's the easiest read in the world. Boop, put it over there. So if you can get those sort of mismatches from time to time, Danger, just as long as the Bills are mixing it up, I think they can get away without having a Gabe Davis and a Taylor Rapp. I'm just, I would like to see Rasul Douglas out there at some point in practice this week.
There's your Buffalo Bills injury report. They'll be on the field again tomorrow. Pittsburgh defense is plus 1,000 for an anytime touchdown. I don't know if that includes special teams. Plus 1,000.
Okay.
I would take it. Just sprinkle a little bit on there. It feels like that's what they need to do. And they know that because every time they play the Bills, it feels like they somehow excel with either a big defensive play or a special teams play. And Sean McDermott bringing up the preseason yesterday is kind of stuck with me. Why are you bringing that up? Like, but you're bringing it up because you know just how capable that team is of being more physical than your team. Because they showed it to you just earlier this season. In a preseason game. But, man, the intensity has to be ratcheted up. And Sean McDermott today talking about being that physical team and go out there and win the game on Sunday.
Very physical, very, very physical. As physical as we've seen all season.
Since week 9, they've run the ball more than any team in the league. Sunday could be one of those days in Orchard Park. So their running game, what do you have to do to kind of keep that under control?
Well, it starts with the mindset. It starts with the mindset. So you got to have that. That's really where it starts. So it's a physical game. They're a physical team. Look, if we want to have a chance, we got to play physical. There's no negotiating around that or finding a way around it. That's the style of football you have to play, in particular this time of year and against this football team.
Excuse me, Coach McDermott, but can we interrupt with a bit of breaking news in the sports bar?
Ooh.
Ow! It really hit me. I didn't know it was coming back that far.
And normally we wouldn't shift gears.
What?
But this feels like a pretty monumental change.
Whoa. Okay.
Do the honors.
Nick Saban is retiring.
You could argue the greatest college football head coach of all time. Retiring.
I didn't see this one coming. There was some chatter, but they talk about that every year with whether it's Saban or Andy Reid.
So 72 is the magic number, apparently. If you're 72 and still coaching football, the hologram needs to be put to rest. I think Saban's hologram happened during the pandemic because he was wearing that cool face mask that didn't really look like a face mask, like a mesh mask. That wasn't really a real face mask. That wasn't really Nick Saban. That was the hologram of Nick Saban.
6 championships he won at Alabama.
Yeah, pretty remarkable.
I mean, considering the day and age, that's better than Bear Bryant. I'm sorry. Hard for me to say, though, but you look at what happened in college basketball with a lot of the old guard. Why didn't Roy Williams or Coach K? These guys could still... Dude, it's a different game. It's way, way different. And you kind of heard this from time to time. Was Alabama up to speed as far as the competition? And maybe he's just kind of stepping off because when it comes to name, image, and likeness, I mean, the playing field is just going to get more level as the years go on. And the fact that you have this other major conference now, and the Big Ten is now on par with the SEC. Yes, I said it. That's true. I mean, they won the national championship this year. So, and Georgia's not going away anytime soon. So
Texas is coming into your conference. You're going to have to deal with a Manning at quarterback for the next few years. Stepping away while you still have most of your legacy intact. Let's face it, I don't think a lot of people had Alabama getting to the college football semifinal this year. Alabama was supposed to be down this year. Did a pretty good job. And the Jalen Milroe kind of slipped there at the end. I wonder what if, because that game was awesome. That was an awesome college football semifinal, and it obviously didn't go the way that Alabama and Alabama fans wanted it. Nick Saban retiring at the age of 72.
Which, he's friends with Belichick.
Oh, they've got their plans.
Go live in the villages.
Yeah, they're going to go boating. Go live in the villages. The villages are weird, right? I've only heard things about the Village.
Listen,
I've never visited. I've driven through there. I know that everybody has they give you a golf cart and everybody's just house to house golf cart. But I hear old people getting freaky down in the Villages. Is that what's happening?
Can you and I, and maybe somebody creatively that could actually do this, we can come up with a Netflix series. We'll just call it The Villages. Old freaky people, crime. I'm sure there's a lot of things. I hear they have a chop shop down there for the golf carts and everything. It's you could have organized crime and everything. Think about that, Danger. The Villages.
I have a neighbor who gets so upset when in the summertime people are rolling around our neighborhood with their golf carts. He'll actually scream, "This ain't the Villages! Enough with the golf carts! This ain't the Villages!" He's right.
Chris writing in, cue the transfer portal. Yes, absolutely. Who's smiling over there? Oh, it's Kirby Smart. Big old smile. Fantastic news today for everybody else in the SEC.
Yeah, it's got to be a challenge. Nick Saban, any other college coach who's done it a long time and done it their way, the world is changing, and you do your best to adapt. And listen, getting that team to the semifinal was a pretty good accomplishment. Obviously, short of the ultimate goal, but step away now, and you could step away. I think you could step away if you're Nick Saban and say, "I was the best to do it." He's the best college football coach we've ever seen. 6 national championships with Crimson Tide.
Yeah. Tommy Reese, do you trust him? He's the offensive coordinator. I don't know. Kind of a young kid. He's never been a head coach. I don't know if you go with a first-timer in Alabama, but boy, that's right up there with every NFL coaching vacancy. Who's going to take over at Alabama?
Yeah. Bill O'Brien go back?
Wasn't Doug Marrone on that staff?
Oh, my God. Ugh. Alabama, you deserve better.
You can have our guy from Syracuse. He's looking for work, right? Dino?
Dino?
Yeah.
Like Dino. All right. There a lot of breaking news today in the sports bar. Man.
Yeah, Pete Carroll out. Nick Saban out. Who's next? Come on, Bill.
It's got to be Belichick, right?
Let's go, Bill.
Your move, Bill.
Come on.
Will we have a Bill Belichick announcement? What will come first? Bill Belichick announcement or loser of Eagles-Bucks announcement? The head coach leaving from either of those two teams.
I'm going to take the plus money on losers of Eagles because my read on this in New England, I think Kraft is just kind of laying out just to see, all right, hey, Washington, let the negotiations begin. They've already begun. You want to give up? Yeah,
except Belichick doesn't have to agree to that. And that's kind of disrespectful to the guy that got you 6 rings. I don't know that they do that.
Tennessee, you could say, could have done that with Vrabel,
right?
But it's almost like they wanted to do right by Vrabel almost.
Yeah, where Vrabel goes is interesting to me. The other guys, like Ben Johnson, it'll be intriguing to see where he ends up if he indeed leaves. And all the signs are pointing in the direction of Dan Quinn going to Seattle, where he was the defensive coordinator, made his hay.
If Carroll is still in the ear of the owner there, sure, that makes sense.
I wouldn't want that job, man. No quarterback. I mean, who's your quarterback of the future? Do you have one? That would be a tough one. A little bit of a tough sell there in Seattle. Easier to go to the Chargers, I think, than to go to Seattle. Even though they're in cap hell and they have to make a lot of tough decisions.
Actually, cap hell is not bad because year one, the expectations aren't going to be there. So get rid of anybody who's not your guy and you have a clean slate. Like for McDermott, that worked out for him. I mean, you remember the Bills were in cap hell. They couldn't do anything. And, you brought in a lot of guys that you didn't think much of and lay the foundation. So I'm still stunned Saban's out.
Yeah, for me, it's a little crazy that Matt Eberflus is still employed, but Nick Saban, Mike Vrabel, Pete Carroll, all no longer head coaches. Upside down world right now.
Ross Tucker on Twitter, just 1 year, I want Saban to coach the Patriots and Belichick to coach Alabama. Boy, that's part of Saban's legacy, right? How he failed in Miami. 2 years. I'm not going to be the head coach of Alabama. Oh.
The way it all worked there, too, was kind of a little bit of a stain on his legacy. But man, when he got to Alabama, forget it. The guy was an unstoppable force. All right, we'll have more on that as we learn more. But yeah, Nick Saban, if you're just joining us, age 72, stepping down, retiring as the head coach of the Alabama Crimson Tide.
Does Mike Danger retire before or after 72? Yeah.
Well before, pal.
62.
Well before.
You'll be in Florida next year like everybody else in Rochester.
Yeah.
I'm doing the show from down here.
Don't threaten me with a good time. I'll be down there in the villages, riding my golf cart from house to house, asking, hey, you got any Cat 5 cable? I got to connect for my broadcast in the sports bar this afternoon.
Like the other old guys in town that are doing their radio show, are they in the villages? I'm asking seriously. I don't even know. I know they're down.
I don't think so.
I'd like to imagine they are, though.
Maybe one of them is, because he has a reputation. Just getting down with all the old Bettys down there in the villages. Just schmoozing them all over. Hey, do you like soft rock? Let me play you some Kenny G.
See, the old Bettys. By the time we get down there, it'll be the old Jennifers and the old Susans, right?
Yeah,
That'll
right.
be our...
Exactly right. All right, round of shots next. I'm really, really excited to learn about which team is going through an
You don't
overhaul.
know this.
I haven't seen it yet.
All right, don't cheat. Because you can look up in my notes there. I guess we have to talk about the Sabres, I suppose.
I didn't want to, and we haven't up until this point. We made it 2 hours and 25 minutes without mentioning that team. The Buffalo Sabres.
Oh, who cares?
Our friend Sessa.
Yeah. Syracuse basketball tonight. We'll set you up for that. Oh, and another story out of Jacksonville where somebody drove right into the team facility. Yep. That's a good way to end the season.
Florida, man. Sign me up. I just want to be a part of the chaos. Let's go. A round of shots next and last call coming up. You can join us on the Good Smoke Barbecue and Pub Wingman line. 866-4326. 585-866-4FAN.
Fan Rochester Sports Update.
Nick Saban is retiring. This just in. Saban winning 6 national championships during his time at Alabama. Also out today, Pete Carroll. He's retiring. Carroll will stay on with the Seahawks in an advisory role. From Bills practice today, it was actually a walkthrough. Gabe Davis, Rasul Douglas, and Taylor Rapp all not on the field. Sean McDermott knows this could be a weather game.
Very confident. Yeah, but that's why we're going out to practice today as well, to continue to work on those key fundamentals that we're going to need to execute come Sunday.
Sunday, our coverage will begin at 9 a.m. Bills and Steelers, the Super Wild Card Round. Yuri Kulik and Isak Rosane both named to the AHL All-Star team. The Amerks in Charlotte Friday and Saturday night. Syracuse basketball, first home game of the calendar year. They take on Boston College. St. John Fisher adding men's and women's hockey. Gene Battaglia, The Fan, Rochester.
If you want pure, unfiltered, unadulterated sports, you've come to the right place. 95.7 FM, The Fan, Rochester.
Now, personnel, they're a little bit different, but they're playing at a very high level right now. I know they ruled Watt out, but that doesn't mean we're in the clear. They've got a very good defensive line. You know, one of the better players interior that's played this game in Cam Hayward. He's an animal. Highsmith on the left edge. He's playing as high level as anybody in the league right now. So we're going to have our hands full. We got to make sure that we have a good game plan. We're communicating well, and it's win or go home.
Bills quarterback Josh Allen on this Sunday's opponent, the Pittsburgh Steelers, as the Bills look to advance past the wild card round. It's time for a round of shots in the sports bar.
Yeah, Seattle is now 5-0. Talking about the Kraken, 5-0 all time against the Buffalo Sabres. Danger, I want to see how long they can keep this going. The two teams playing one more time this season in the Northwest, March 18th. 5-2 was the final. 17-20-4. That's Buffalo's record at the halfway point of the season, which would put them on pace for 76 points, which would be 15 fewer than they got last season. And last season they missed the postseason. Not great. Devin Levi, not great. Amongst goalies with at least 25 starts, Levi's .808 save percentage. That's the third worst in the league.
Not great, Bob.
Ottawa coming to town tomorrow night.
Not great, Bob.
Did you watch the whole thing?
I did. So angry.
Next time, just listen to St. John Fisher basketball.
I know. I know. Look, and I purposely put my phone aside because I don't want to angrily live tweet events as they're happening.
Yeah.
It's just, they are so mediocre. They are so up and down. I'm out. I'm out. Their apathy, the team, the fan base, all of it. It's just straight up apathy. It's just the apathetic Sabres.
Well, the problem from reading everything through was, okay, correct me if I'm wrong. Come out to a hot start. Oh, we can't get one by. We did get one by. We should have more. What's going on? Oh, one goal let in. Shoulders. That's
yes.
it. Yeah.
It's just everything around that organization, and I'm lumping myself into this, just apathetic. Everything. The arena, the fans, the team, the coaches, the GM want more, can't get it. Apathetic. We're just the apathetic Sabres.
Well, we now know more about the injury. Danger. Chicago Blackhawk rookie Connor Bedard.
I have a story about this. You want to hear my story about Connor Bedard?
Please.
Tim, who works here, the keeper of all Buffalo sports tickets in our building.
Yes.
Text me on Friday night. Hey, buddy, I've got tickets for the Blackhawks on Wednesday. You want to go? Don't even hesitate. Yes, of course I want to go. So me and my daughter are going. I'm excited. I'm like, I can't wait. I've been waiting to see the kid all year. I want to see. But Friday night, Bedard gets his face smashed in. And now this. Of course, the night that I say, yeah, I want to go see. Now I got to go watch really have no reason to go watch the Blackhawks other than Bedard. He's the show. The team sucks.
I don't think that was a dirty hit, Danger.
I don't think so either.
No, I just think, holy cow, kid, keep your head up there. So Bedard broken jaw surgery. This happened that lost the Devils on Friday, but are leading the NHL rookies in scoring. 15 goals, 33 points in 39 games. Tonight, just 3 games in the NHL. Montreal is at Philadelphia. The doubleheader on TNT has Minnesota at Dallas at 7:30, followed by Vegas and Colorado.
Good stuff.
Miami Heat coach Eric Spoelstra agreed to an 8-year contract extension worth more than $120 million, or actually $120 million. That's the most total dollars for any coach in North American history. In terms of average annual value, the $18 million per year, currently second in the NBA, only behind Greg Popovich, $19 million per season. Now, Spoelstra is 53, and I love this story, Danger, because you hire kids, and it stuns me. Listen to me. If you want to get into this business, and we've had interns, I don't want to board up. I want to do it. No, you get in the building, and that's what Spoelstra did. He did this back in 1995 as a video coordinator. 2 years later, Pat Riley brings him on the staff as the coach on the bottom. He works his way up. He's been there that long.
Hard work for sure, doing the things that nobody else wants to do, showing up, saying yes, not being too big to do the small things, otherwise you're too small to do the big things. I love this story. Spoelstra is new Pop. When Popovich goes away, it'll be Spoelstra, will be the guy that we're talking about as he's getting old and grizzled. You could certainly see a scenario where that dude is the coach of the Heat until he just decides to walk away. It's pretty remarkable that he's been there as long as he's been there, and I think he deserves it. I think that's like he's kind of under the radar as far as like great NBA coaches. He just doesn't have a lot of flash around his name, but he's been through a lot with that organization. I guess having Riley as a mentor probably helps along the way to know that you've got one of the other greatest coaches of all time being able to guide you, a shoulder to lean on if you need one.
Yeah, and or they've overachieved a few times, most notably last year, getting to the final. Syracuse basketball. I don't think they like us here in Rochester, Syracuse basketball. It's really difficult. You want to go tonight because they're tipping it off at 9 o'clock. If you're going, you're not getting back until after midnight. Thumbs down to the ACC network. I know it's not the Orange. The Orange playing their second game of the calendar year, first one at home. Boston College is the opponent. If there's one team the Orange own, it's BC. Syracuse has won the last 10 matchups against this conference opponent. Last time the Eagles won at Syracuse, got to go back to 2014. That was, at the time, hard to imagine. Syracuse was ranked number 1 in the country.
No kidding.
Yeah. Let's check out on things going in Jacksonville. Not great.
More?
Not great, Bob.
A woman arrested for intentionally crashing her car into the Jaguars practice facility. No one was hurt. The car driving through 2 double glass doors, which is the entrance the players use. We don't know the motive here.
Heist. That was the motive.
Maybe.
It was a heist.
Or maybe just upset that they couldn't get to the postseason. Who knew they were this bad?
Trying to steal some of Trevor Lawrence's product. She wanted some product. Get it to the facility.
Did you figure out which other team, other than the Houston Texans, is going to change their uniforms? Hit the music.
I didn't figure it out. I've been waiting and I haven't peeked ahead. Drop it on me, Gino.
Okay. Which team getting new threads this season? We already knew about the Houston Texans, and they're going to add in some of that baby blue from yesteryear. We know that. Now we have another team getting a makeover. Now, this is not officially from the team, but rather this is coming, the source here being Paul Lucas. He's the founder of the UniWatch website. That's good enough for me. And the team reportedly getting new threads next season in April. The Denver Broncos. Let the speculation on what this could look like. There is an unnamed source saying that the Broncos will go with white helmets, a little white on the sleeves, and adding gray as an accent color.
Just because I know we have some Bronco fans listening.
Oh, who cares? Oh.
I never understood why the Broncos, I mean, they changed their uniform in the 90s, and they won a couple of Super Bowls with John Elway, but I always thought their uniforms were like some of the cleanest, classiest. I loved the old... The D with the horse and the...
Well, you remember the reason why, because they, in the NFL, just had their deal with Nike, and literally that was the swoosh on the side. And then when the NFL broke up with Nike, it's like, Okay, I guess they're still keeping the swoosh here, but yeah, that's a little outdated there. I think they could use a little bit of a makeover. Apparently, they're also going to have, and you're talking about with the D and the light blue there, they're going to have a throwback to kind of go along with that too.
So white helmets?
White helmets.
Yeah. Don't love it. First impression?
Wait till I see it.
We saw the white helmets once this year with Denver, right?
Yeah, but this might have like some other new logo or something like that. It's hard to envision, so I'm going to reserve judgment.
But it's Sean Payton, so it's really hard to like. Right? I mean, like, I'm sure he doesn't have any like involvement in what the logo or the uniforms are going to look like, but just because he's there, it's just really hard to like. I want to be excited. I can't get excited. We'll see. We'll see what it looks like. Maybe I'm underestimating what the Broncos marketing team comes up with there, but it's hard to like that team with Sean Payton being the guy in charge. Such a baby. All right, good. We got some hot uniform talk.
Baby, I would use a different word.
Yeah.
Begins with A.
Yeah, he's an a-hole for sure. Last call. You can join us at 585-866-4FAN. 866-4326, the Good Smoke Barbecue and Pub Wingman line. We say the most dangerous words in all of sports talk radio. We go to the phones. Next, as we close up shop, and tomorrow, big day in the sports bar tomorrow. Big guest tomorrow. Can't wait to share with you.
Fun,
we'll talk about that next. As good as the regular season is in the NFL, there is nothing like the NFL's Super Wild Card Weekend. It's Mike Danger for FanDuel Sportsbook, the official partner of 95.7 The Fan. This weekend, 6 games, 3 days. And for these teams, win or go home. You'll always have a spot in the playoffs with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. FanDuel has so many ways for you to pick up a W. We were talking about it earlier. We just sprinkle a little bit there on the Steelers' defense and special teams to score a touchdown. Feels like that kind of game with the weather being in play. And if you want to follow my pick, go to FanDuel right now. New customers get started with $150 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. Just visit FanDuel.com/Mike to join today. That is FanDuel.com/Mike, M-I-K-E, and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. 21 plus and physically present in New York. First online real money wager only. $10 first deposit required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. For help with a gambling problem, call 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369.
The sports leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950 The Fan, Rochester.
A little bit of both, I would say, for sure. With the mindset, yes, and then also the preparation that goes into it. We've been through a lot of games here where we've had to, no pun intended, weather the storm that way, right? So it affects a lot of things. It affects how you play the game, how you manage the game. So it's when we have that here, it's an added dimension to our preparation.
Elements could be a factor on Sunday. There might be. There is a chance that there's some lake effect snow on Sunday at kickoff. The Bills preparing for their matchup with the Steelers Sunday, 1 o'clock. Kickoff here on the Fan Rochester with Chris Brown, Eric Wood, and Sal Capaccio roaming the sideline. Sal, who joined us last hour with his report from Orchard Park today. And we had a great conversation also with Alex Brasky, the Batavia Daily News and Bills Digest. Both of those conversations are available for you wherever you get your shows. Just search out the Sports Bar and you'll find not only our guest appearances, but our entire shows.
Yeah, fantastic show today. We have time for your calls. Last call. Get it, Sports Bar, last call. 866-4326, 866-4326. John in Rochester.
What are you doing, you champion, you?
Oh, man, what a game Sunday, guys. Unbelievable. You guys talked about it a lot. I am so pumped up. And I'm going to make 2 predictions. One prediction is this. Baltimore is going to lose, and we're going to host the AFC Championship game and win it. And Josh is going to be MVP. What do you think?
On the latter, no. I don't think that's going to happen, just with the way kind of the season. Look, John, you and I know where the Bills would be, and it's not in the playoffs if it's not for Josh Allen, certainly. Baltimore getting knocked off. Would you sign up for that? I would not, even if it is Cleveland. Hard for me to imagine that the Ravens would lose in the divisional round. Love to see it, but I think that the road still goes through Baltimore.
Yeah. That said, if the Bills and the Ravens were to meet in the AFC Championship game, I don't hate the Bills in that game. I think the Bills can beat the Ravens. They've shown that they can beat the Ravens. Multiple times they've shown that they can beat the Ravens. The path for the Bills is a compelling one. If they get by Pittsburgh, of course. If they get by Pittsburgh, you could see that scenario where the Chiefs have to come to Orchard Park, where Patrick Mahomes has to play his first road playoff game in Buffalo. Oh, I know that you could argue that isn't a great scenario for the Bills. I think it's the best scenario for the Bills.
Yeah, because, like the weather could be the equalizer here on Sunday, Kansas City. Did you see this? They're calling for a low of -4 on Saturday night.
It might be the coldest. They're saying it'll rival the coldest game on record.
Yeah, so, and then appreciate Chris, our guy in Kentucky, pointing this out. This quote today from Tua Tagovailoa. He's planning on not wearing gloves. The whole thing is a mindset, quote unquote, for Tua.
Have you seen snow before? Yeah, it snowed in Alabama my first year. So it snows in Alabama, guys. I know. I mean, people don't know that. You know, there's some people that just think, it just gets cold in Alabama. It does snow.
Shecky Tagovailoa there. I didn't know we're talking about Shecky Tagovailoa,
wow.
Starting quarterback for the Miami Dolphins. Speaking of Alabama, Nick Saban, if you're just joining us, retiring, age 72. He'll be stepping down as the head coach of the Alabama Crimson Tide. We also had Pete Carroll, no longer coaching the Seattle Seahawks, staying on board with the organization in an advisory role.
So who does this open the door for? You could say, well, Georgia's going to ascend. I mean, they are the betting favorite. Yeah, I know Brian Kelly right now. That portal is wide open. Come on down here. Join me, Brian Kelly.
Listen, whether it was dancing or I couldn't get my accent down with family. Listen, I'm from Boston. We don't have strong accents.
What a fraud. Yeah, he even threw on the accent. I'm from Boston. I'm from Boston.
It's a great night to be a Tiger. I'm here with my family.
That fraud. Texas is the one to watch out for. I want to see what Manning's about. Next couple of years is going to be real interesting. And no Saban? We'll see. College football's, for all the, if you were down on the college football playoff expansion, next season's going to be wild. Next season's going to be
I've come
wild.
around on it. Yes, I'll sacrifice the importance of an Ohio State-Michigan game, but it will extend the season, too. Do you realize, the national championship?
We'll be talking about it now.
It's not until January 22nd next year. We'll be talking about, the semifinals coming up.
It'll be great. Tomorrow on the show, we've got a fantastic lineup, including Chris Mack from our Odyssey Sports sister station, 93.7 The Fan in Pittsburgh. We'll get the latest from the Steelers. And not only is she going to come in to the sports bar and formally accept her Take of the Year award, and we'll also talk some Buffalo Bills with the host of Maggie and Perloff here on The Fan. Maggie Gray joins us from New York City tomorrow afternoon at 4:25.
Yeah, as you may know, she is a Bills fan. As you may know, or not know, her husband's from Rochester.
No, she's ours. She's in New York City, but she's Rochester's own Maggie
Rochester's
Gray.
own. Yeah, little does she know that she is ours. And we're going to get her thoughts on the Bills playoffs here coming up.
Yeah, that's tomorrow afternoon in the sports bar. We'd appreciate it if you stop by starting at 3 o'clock tomorrow afternoon on the Sports Leader. Again, if you missed Alex Brasky from the Batavia Daily News or Bills Digest, Sal Capaccio from WGR, who joined us last hour, both conversations are available now wherever you get your shows. You can search out the Sports Bar in the free-to-download Odyssey app, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher. And don't forget, we've got the video stream up for you as well. You can go back and watch any part of the Sports Bar, including our trippy first 15 minutes where we had strobe lights here in the Sports Bar. Why not? Let's set a tone early on. At The Fan Rochester on YouTube. That's our channel on YouTube. And The Fan Rochester streaming on Twitch as well. There you go. The table is set for tomorrow. JR Sport Brief on the way next. More CBS Sports Radio. Thanks for listening to The Fan Rochester.